Here we go. CrossFire. I got to be honest with you guys. This is one of those nights where I had a ton of topics prepared for you guys. We've got an unbelievable show, and the news just kept trickling in. So every single hour, I'm adding another topic to the show, and I was having a great conversation with the panel before the show went live, and just they were like, Mooch, you don't have to have that many topics. We're probably going to get through like 3 of them. I sent 13, 14 topics to these guys. So, I don't usually start the show like this, but I do want to bring something up. I was actually watching Jay Barry and Persona yesterday on Barry's live show, and some sad news hit the community yesterday, and I always feel to pay respects. We lost somebody in the community. Talked to him enough and played games. Definitely in game chats with him. One of the most positive people. Always kept it gaming. Want to say, shout out to Big Mike. Big Mike passed away yesterday, and it's kind of hard to talk about. He's just a great guy. I don't know how to say it to you guys. I think anybody in the community that knows him knows how great he was. He was there for a lot of people. And, we've lost people. Been doing this since 2014, and it's hard when you lose people like that. And because they're wonderful folks. They keep things going when you're doing a podcast and you're working, and they hit you up in the middle of the week and they go, hey, I'm looking forward to the show on Thursday. Looking forward to hearing what you got to say. Hey, what are you gaming? Mooch, did you check out this article? Sending me things, DMs, just great information, and it was like, I just talked to him last about some gaming information. It was the end of July, early August. And I just wanted to take a second. I thought that, it was like I said, I was listening to Jay and Persona. I happened to have Persona on the show this week too. And, they were also caught off guard. I won't speak for Persona, but just want to say, prayers, thoughts are with Big Mike, of course, and his family. And he won't be forgotten on the show. I'll tell you right now, he'll never be forgotten on the show. Persona, I mentioned your name. If you have anything to say, or if anybody on the panel wants to say anything, I just know that Persona, you and Jay were going through some great memories as well yesterday, and it was just heartwarming to see what you guys were saying as well.
Big Mike, I know Big Mike a really, really long time, like way back in like 2014, 2015 in the Facebook group days, Yeah. And he's definitely always has been like a very positive guy, very upbeat. Not a lot of negativity was with Big Mike. He was always down to play games and always down to talk games, and he was a very positive dude. And he used to participate in a lot of the tournaments that me and Barry used to run.
Yep.
Even if he wasn't the best at a fighting game, you could definitely count on Big Mike to be there.
Yeah.
And like having fun. Like, I just want to have fun, and just a very good dude, man. And so my definitely condolences to his family, and rest in peace to Big Mike, man. It really does suck.
Yeah, we always say let's keep it gaming. Big Mike kept it gaming, and I won't go on too long about it because it is hard to talk about when you lose someone in the community that's special. But just shout out to Big Mike, and like I said, we will always remember him on this show. We're gonna started with the show right now. I got to tell you guys, so many topics were pouring in. Like I said, I sent these guys 13 topics. I'm sitting there thinking, I got Sean, I got RGT85 on the show, Crap Gamer, Persona, Death Singer, the Wiseau Gamer just joined the show. We've got a few others joining us as the hour continues. And these are professionals. And I'm thinking to myself, why am I sending these guys a book report of the week's news? These guys know the news. I don't need to tell them anything else. I'll just go ahead and start with RGT85. Sean, I got to tell you, you even said to me, you're like, Mooch, I appreciate you sending it. I'm not going to read this shit. What's going on, Sean? Welcome back to the show. Great to have you here. Like I always said, you got a no-nonsense channel. You always speak your mind, buddy. So it's great to have you, especially tonight when we got so many opinions in the gaming community.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. Glad to be here.
Always great to have you, Sean. I got the great Crap Gamer here. Crap, you guys noticed, Crap showed up sometime around 7:07 p.m., which for you guys might be late, but for Crap, that's right on time. Crap!
That was early, man. Like, you ever just have like one of those days at work, man? Like, it's a struggle. So I was like, I'm coming, Mooch. It's like,
I'm on the way.
I was so slow getting over here, man. No lie. I was like, yeah, I'm heading over there, Mooch. Don't worry, I'm going to be there. And then, here I am. So yeah, it should be. Listen, there's a lot of cool stuff going on.
There is.
So obviously, that's something that I want to be a part of and talk about. All the news that's breaking, because we've had many months of next to no news, really, and so now it seems like all this news is breaking, and it's just a great amount of stuff to talk about. So yeah, that's exciting, man. I can't wait to get into it.
Absolutely, Crap. Great to have you here as well. You guys already know the great Persona here. Persona, listen, I got to be honest with you. Already excited for Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I don't even have to tell people what's up PlayStation's on, but I got to be honest with you, Persona. Great to have you on the show. This is going to be a night where you get to just speak from the heart. Shout out to Jay Barry. Real quick. But Persona, welcome back to the show, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, first off, Mooch, I always appreciate the invites, to the show, man, to the CrossFire family. Shout out to the chat, shout out to the panel. It looks like a really great panel. I know it's going to be a great conversation tonight. Shout out to the chat, man. Hit the like button. And Mooch, I say it all the time. Back in the day when I first started coming to your show, the chat didn't like me. Why are you bringing Persona to the show? Mooch, I'm going to unsubscribe. They don't do that no more. They've embraced me. They've accepted me into the fold, Mooch. I think I am officially a part of the CrossFire family, and it feels good.
You really are.
So hit the like button.
You really are. Don't feel bad, Persona. Now you're loved, and this is
I'm loved.
Those are wise words for someone to hear. The great Dead Singer's back. Singer, you might feel like that now, but they're gonna love you too eventually. Singer, they are absolutely going to love you.
Hey, man. The chat already loves me.
Yes.
There's no such thing as hate, right?
No.
It's just they'll love me more. But yeah, it's great. Great panel. It's going to be a fun time. We got Persona here, so of course I can start saying, Persona 5. Nope. PS5 Remastered. That's it. I almost said Persona 5 Remastered. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, though.
It might.
But,
It might happen. The great Death Singer, everybody. It's going to be great. Singer, I hope you have your notes in hand. I'm sure you do. Speaking of those notes, the great Detective Seeds joins us. And Seeds, great to have you here as well. Seeds, you're batting 1,000. I don't know who you know on the inside, and we're never going to know. By the way, I've known Seeds a long time now. Seeds does not reveal his sources. And trust me, as a mooch, I try to find out. But the great Detective Seeds is with us. Seeds, you're still muted. I don't know if that means you're still on the... There he is. Seeds?
Yeah, I'm still driving. I'm on the road. My son had a football game tonight, so I'm traveling home, but I'll do the best I can to chime in when I can.
Well,
appreciate you guys having me. I know the chat does love me. Death Singer, probably not so much, but hey, can't love everybody.
The love's being spread around tonight. Great to have you, Seeds, and appreciate you joining us as you can. You're on the road, but I appreciate it. And the great Wise Old Gamer hits me up about a half an hour ago. He goes, Mooch, you got room for me? I said, Wise Old Gamer, I always have room for you, buddy, especially on topics like tonight. The topics are just like flowing in. Wise, how you doing tonight, buddy? Great to have you back on the show.
Let me say this. This is how you know you're privileged. I never get invited. I have to invite my own friends. So there you go. For a second, before I start everything, I want to geek out for a little second, okay? I've been, my whole story, right, Mooch?
Absolutely.
And RGT85 guy, boss, I've been listening to you for ages. This is my first time I'm actually streaming with you. So if I had that little clip from Wayne's World, we're not worthy, I would be playing it right now. So yeah, but yeah, it's awesome, man. It's like, dude, you don't know. This is like a check off my bucket list or fuck it list. One of the two. Yeah, one of the two lists you're on there. So I don't know which list that is, but yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the topics. And by the way, I'm starting an OnlyFans because I need $1,200 for my PlayStation 4 5 Pro. So yeah.
Well, good luck on that prospect you got going there, Wise. Let me know how that ends up for you. Wise, great to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and get started here for a second. And, I have the same topic, but it's kind of in like two pieces here. So I'll start with RGT85. I'd like to put Sean on the hot seat first here. Sean, I guess I'm going to ask you, it's two topics I'll combine into one. So the PS5 Pro, first of all, that we discussed that came out. That news came out last week, $700, what the specs are. We know all that. Recently, in this past week, I think an interview came out with Vince Impella. And, the reason I bring up Vince is Vince has a lot of credibility in the industry. I think a lot of you guys will agree with me, regardless if you like some of the games he's made or not. But I think Vince holds a lot of credibility. And he comes out and he says it makes sense, in quotes, about the pricing when it comes to the PS5 and what you're getting for that price. And again, I don't mean to paraphrase. The makes sense was all that was in actual quotes that I have here. But when it comes down to it, do you think, Sean, that the media kind of blows a bit of the price out of proportion? I say this all the time. we talk about Moochonomics. We all have a PS5 at home, or most people that are on the panel, if not all the people on the panel, and then most people in my chat. You're going to get I called yesterday. It's $357 with a Pro membership now. And like I said, we talked about it last week. The numbers will continue to drop the more weeks you wait out as they get more inventory. But still $357. So Sean, at the end of the day, you're paying about $350 out of pocket here to upgrade. If you want to, you don't have to. What do you think it's a bit blown out of proportion? I mean, right now, Sean, if me and you got 2 pizzas and 20 wings, it's $70. Okay? And that's not going to last me and you 15 minutes. So at the end of the day, where are we with this whole thing? I know you've done a lot of videos on it. You've covered it. What are your thoughts?
I think from our perspective, from everyone on this panel to most people watching in the chat, sure, it makes sense to some degree. But let's be realistic here. What analysts say it'll sell like 13, 14 million, kind of based on the PS4 Pro.
Right.
No. I think this is selling 10 million max on a good day. Is it necessary? It depends, because how many games we're still in an era where PlayStation 4 versions of games are common, and they're still coming in 2025.
Yeah. Spoiler
alert, they're still going to be coming in 2026. So no game is really, I think, going to take full advantage. It's much like the PS4 Pro.
That's right.
Was, where you get enhanced versions of games. It's for the enthusiast. I never got a PS4 Pro. I was fine with my PS4. I'm not getting a PS5 Pro. I'm fine with my PS5 for now. If you give me a reason to with future games, then we can talk. We can revisit this situation. But as it stands now, I don't have any interest in going back and playing Rebirth, and it looks a little sharper. I have no interest in playing The Last of Us Part 2 again, and it's a little sharper. Like, it depends on the person. And, I don't know. It's a definite pass for me. I think enthusiasts will definitely pick it up, but I don't necessarily think that mass media is completely blowing it out of proportion because of the fact that, you got to look at it from an average consumer standpoint. Motherfuckers can't even, even though, like Keeley wants to dick ride and adjust for inflation and stuff like that. At the end of the day, all of those systems that you mentioned were multifunctional. They had a Blu-ray player, they had a DVD player, they had a CD player. Like it's not the same sort of thing. It's a niche system, and I think it'll be interesting to see how it does. I think it's going to be scalped to hell. Someone is yelling at me. It's a technical preview. Why expect games? Says Bobar Country with a $2 donation. Thank you for the donation. I
appreciate the read.
because you're selling me on this.
Yeah.
By showing me, you know what you could have done? You could have bundled in a state of play with it. And I know that that's another topic for here. But when you're just showing me older games that I've already gone through, that I've already played, that I've already beaten, if I wanted to beat them, such as Ratchet and Clank, The Last of Us Part 2, it doesn't make me very excited. When you had the PlayStation 4 Pro unveiling, you had games that were not out yet being shown on there and shown with the differences. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
So, and I think that's a good stance, but I will say this much, Sean. So the point that they didn't show the games does mean something. I do. But when you say show me something, we do know, because our ears to the ground, like Death Stranding 2 is probably going to be a game that's shown probably more sooner than later on this device. I don't want to be so generic to say, well, Sean, come on, GTA 6. I mean, that's kind of a given that if it is the most powerful console on the market at the time, that it probably will play best there. So let's leave that one. You can use that one if you want an argument, but we'll leave that one out. But there's going to be some other games that they're going to show. Do you think as they have a state of play, or do you think as we have what may be, I don't think they're going to do a PSX again, but something that they're supposed to do maybe early next year where they show those games, that it will push that system? And I don't think Sony cares if they sell 10 or 15 million copies. I think that's the number that they're kind of, if you go, listen, they'd rather sell 100 million copies, right? But if they're only going to sell 10 to 15 million, that same percentage that they sold for the PS4 Pro, I think that's what they're kind of expecting.
Right.
That's
no, yeah. I mean, much like PSVR 2, much like the Portal. I don't think they're expecting these to sell like gangbusters, and that's okay. It's just I am not interested in if there was a big game coming out within like 3 months, 4 months, something like that, then I would have something to sink my teeth into. But there's not. Okay. At least that we know of now.
So let me ask this, Persona. I go to you only because I think I want to hear the extreme on your side here. Do you? I know that you understand where Sean's coming from. You as someone that's eager to purchase this item, and I'm picking it up. I said I liked the fact that I'm going to have the latest and greatest tech, and for $350 out of pocket, which some people may say that's too much. That's fine. We'll get into the dollars and cents in a moment. I feel like the trade-in, even when the PS6 comes out, I'd rather have a Pro because I'm going to end up getting another $350 or $400 for that one versus my OG PS5, which is going to get me $125. But Persona, what do you think? What Sean's comment? And I shouldn't say just Sean. The internet amongst Sean is saying, where are the games for this? Did you need to see more games? What kind of sold you on the device? Because the media definitely seems to be. It seems to be almost 70-30. Like this is too expensive. You shouldn't really pick this up right now.
Well, Mooch, thanks for going to me. And, if you ask the internet and the people that tend to, clip my shows or our show, they would tell you, the internet would tell you that I buy everything that PlayStation puts out. So that's why I'm buying this.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
But, when it comes to the PlayStation, I kind of wanted to answer the question that you asked originally when it comes to the pricing and kind of just go into the spiel of everything. But, I think when it comes to the pricing of the PlayStation PS5 Pro, I agree. I do think that $700 in this market, in this economy, in inflation and things like that, I do think that is a lot of money in a tall ask. Right, especially for a lot of people who may be trying to get into gaming within the console space. Right, I do think that is a large amount, and I can understand certain people feeling that type of way. So I'm not going to debate that because I agree. Right, but for me personally, and what I'm seeing with the technology going into the PlayStation 5 Pro, I do think that we will see a more substantial. More of a substantial leap when it comes to console gaming as opposed to the PS4 Pro. When you look at PS4 Pro, the big selling point there was checkerboard rendering, which was supposed to allow for higher resolution of games through the checkerboarding and things like that. But now when you look at the PS5, you're getting AI dedicated upscaling, something like DLSS and FSR, which is a dedicated AI machine learning upscaler within the PlayStation 5 Pro, which is supposed to alleviate a lot of the strain that developers may be facing when it comes to trying to make games run and look as pretty as possible with all that other jazz that goes into it. I won't bore people with that. But I think with the PlayStation 5 Pro, to me, the technology and what's going into it and the expectation of what we can get from it, especially from a first party perspective, where we know PlayStation developers themselves are not developing games for the PlayStation 4 anymore. They've moved away from that and are developing PS5 only titles. The last couple of titles have been PlayStation 5 only, and we can expect the next couple like Wolverine, Ghost of Tsushima 2, Death Stranding 2, and things like that to be PS5 only. So from a first party perspective, there is no worry from me that this console won't be taken advantage of. Now, when you get into the third party realm, that's where things get a bit muddy. But a large portion of that has to do with the fact that it's up to the third-party developer to really take advantage of that. And if they're developing for the lowest common denominator, which in this case, from a console perspective, it can either be the Switch or the Series S, depending how you look at it. But if they're developing for the lowest common denominator and then scaling up, a lot of developers, when you look at the amount of time they may have and things like that, they might not be able to take advantage of the full advantage of the PS5 Pro. At least not out the gate when it comes to that stuff. So that's where I can understand the worry being. But if I'm buying a PlayStation product or a Sony product, I'm expecting Sony and PlayStation developers, above all else, to really take full advantage of this console. And we know with this being with their first party developers being next gen only developing titles, I have no worry with that. So for me, I'm happy to buy into that with the expectation that I am going to get some of the best looking first party titles from PlayStation.
No, and that's a
Can I piggyback off that, Mooch?
Sure, C's. Go ahead. After C's, I do want to, for some reason, just so everybody knows, my OBS for some reason is not updating with the super chats, so I'm going to read the super chats even more frequently because they're not showing up on my my other feed. And as time goes on, some of them will get lost, and I won't be able to read them. So I will be reading those a lot more eagerly, if you will, a lot quicker than I usually do. Go ahead, Seeds.
Yeah, so I think that the performance of the PS5 Pro games are third party and also first party. They're going to scale up to it, not scale down to the lowest common. They're trying to do things that are more effective in games. And when it comes to the having a disc version, guys might as well just go ahead and accept that we're fading that process out. Like if you go to a store now, how often do you see a DVD player or a CD player? Like those days are pretty much done. And I think that the consoles are signifying to consumers, be ready to switch over completely to digital media. So I think that those days of having that physical aspect in it or expecting physical should kind of be taken with a grain of salt now. I don't think that that's probably going to happen. They may keep it in the PS6 base version, but I wouldn't see it going past that. And to piggyback, I think that first off, State of Play is going to be on the 24th. So the next Tuesday, they'll announce it on Monday. I would temper your expectations for the State of Play, but there are pretty good rumblings that in December, I don't give a date yet because I've only had it from one person. I like to get 2 or 3 of them to tell me. There's going to be another 30th anniversary event for PlayStation in December. And that is where I think you're going to see I'm not sure who went first. Someone's talking about like show me some games. I think that's where you're going to see the red carpet get rolled out and see more of the future of what's coming. But I also think that when it comes to PlayStation, if you've been paying attention for the last 1.5 to 2 years, they really like to give one game its tease, so to speak, let it come out, let it release, let it shine, do its thing, and then they go on to the next one. And I think that you should expect that going forward after this 30th anniversary event gets done. But Herman Hulse is different than Jim Ryan, so they may change that, but I would not expect to see a big tour de force of first party at this State of Play next week. I would expect it in December.
Okay, and I remember you saying that.
Go ahead. Can I just touch on the digital to physical aspect thing? Because I do agree that them not including a disk drive, I can understand certain people feeling some type of way about that, right? Me, I'm all digital. I've been all digital since 2017. So for me, that doesn't really impact me or affect me in a major way. But I do think that those who are physical are still clinging on to the physical media. I can understand that. But when you look at the landscape of how things are and where things are moving, there's a reason why Best Buys and Targets and things like that are not selling physical, movies and things like that as much anymore, or that stuff is starting to die out. There's a reason why, digital to physical, when it comes to the purchasing of games, you're starting to see that kind of flip in digital's favor. There's a reason for that. A lot of that stuff is becoming the norm, you know, and not to say that, everyone is able to download digital, because obviously rural areas and things like that. But the most people can or are on digital or are consuming their media digital. You got Hulu, you got Netflix, you got Vudu Movies, Apple TV, all these other different services and things like that, where majority of the people are buying are consuming their both entertainment and, again, gaming with digital is already the majority. I mean, look at PC. I would be surprised to find anybody on PC who is more physical than digital.
But there's a reason. There's a reason why retailers aren't selling physical, and it has to do with the distribution. The distribution center that was providing everyone with physical games was a company called Ingram, and Ingram went out of business. It was the mid of 2023, and that's when you started to see places like Target, Best Buy start liquidating, because the new people that have physical, the biggest company that has physical distribution rights right now is, I don't remember, it begins with an A. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
But do you know why they went out of business? Because I can tell you.
Sure, go ahead.
So the reason that they went out of business is because Xbox, PlayStation, and I think you're going to start to see Nintendo, they're trying to generate more profit. And when they can cut out that distribution source and focus and fixate solely on digital distribution, they maximize more profit than having those companies sell it for them through retail.
Well, yeah, I understand.
But even before Ingram went out of business, if you look back to 2019, 2020, you started to see that line start to tip in digital's favor, where more people were moving towards digital, downloading digital, and things like that. You know, you have services like PS Now, you had Game Pass and all these other different things. Digital was starting to overtake physical when it comes to how people are consuming or playing their games or consuming media. It's just a natural thing that's happening. And I'm not saying that, physical should go away 100%, because for the people who want that, obviously there should be that option there. But the grand scheme of things is most places, most things are going digital, going in the cloud, going all that's just the route it's going. So I'm not surprised that this is happening.
I think that I agree. And the other thing I would say is I completely understand the need and the want to have physical stuff. Like I get that, but I think that the response to the PS5 Pro not having a disc version, or not having the disc as a primary, I mean, I don't know that should have been a huge shock. I do think that they should have included the option to have that, disc drive that you got to go out and buy now. I don't think that would have been a bad idea to at least include it until you can get people integrated more into the digital space. But it would not shock me one bit if the PS6 transitions over to all digital. If not the PS6, I certainly think the PS7, because the Xbox games that are coming over to PlayStation are all going to be digital. We're not going to see physical copies of them. And so I just think that, I don't think that we as consumers should be as surprised going forward when we don't see those disc versions. Unfortunately, I think that's becoming a thing of the past. We no longer have a Blockbuster wherever some of you guys are from. We had Blockbuster where I'm from and Family Video, and those went out of business very quickly because, everyone can streamline it by being at home. Well, so I just think that that's going away.
Just to piggyback that whole thing too, and anyone who's bought a car recently, it doesn't matter. I think I don't want to say within 3 years, I don't know how long it was, but they don't even have a CD player in them anymore. It's all, they have USB-C. It seems like that's where we're going. So I do think that does seem to be the way the technology is going. That being said, vinyl records has never been hotter since the 70s. So there's people, I think everything goes back. Everything comes back into style with time. I do want to say this. I want to say shout out real quick to Rob Jones. Rob, shout out to Night Ripper 777. You guys, like I said, the chat is moving up and it is taking all the super chats. If anybody knows how to get the full scale of all of them back again. But I do have Damien here. He says, Mom, my PC. He says, hit that like button. Shout out to Damien. Great to have him here. Babor, as you can see, Babor is already, it was a technical preview. RGT already read that for me, thank God. He came back again and he says, I watched your video. It's misinformation. It's not misinformation. Come on. Sean was just giving his opinion on it. Come on now. Babor comes back. He says, we all know what to expect, like the last tech preview. Well, Sean, you and Babor were going back and forth, it looks like. I must have missed that in the chat.
I've been going back and forth with a bunch of
people. Have a new fan, I'll tell you that much. Babor's back again. He says, I used my PS5 without a stand since 2020. Shout out to Blaze 4K, who was saying that to me last week on the show. Don't get me wrong. One of the things that I'll add to that real quick is, a lot of people say that with the physical disc edition that's missing, you have to buy it separately, for $79.99. That's one way to feel. I do think that they should have probably at least put the stand in there. Shout out to Blaze again, Blaze 4K. So when you're buying a pro model of certain things should just come in the box with that to be that elite product. Crap, I want to ask you a question here. This was kind of the part two, because I kind of know how you feel in a sense just regarding consoles overall. Crap, the 30th anniversary, okay? PlayStation 5 came out today. These are things that when Xbox used to do, you see Nintendo's doing it with what they're going to have coming down the pipe. PlayStation doing it, but Xbox isn't doing it. But when you see what came out today, crap, how did you feel? Because I mean, in all honesty, I know that you really dig that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like they really play up the nostalgia end of things, and I think that's smart because they're having some, I don't want to say bad stuff, but I mean, they don't really have any competition, so. It's like they can get away with doing kind of what they want, but when they do stuff like this, it really kind of hits people in the feels a little bit. They're like, oh yeah, 30 years, I remember when, I remember that, I was a kid and PlayStation 1 came out and, like you're used to playing stuff like Sonic and Mario and then all of a sudden you're playing stuff like Tomb Raider, and like Crash Bandicoot, and it's like these 3D games and stuff. So like, I totally get it. And the nostalgia feel for that. Like that, those things are going to go fast. Like, I don't know, I don't think regular people are going to be able to get those to pick up that stuff. You know, like
I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, crap. I really
It's
don't.
not going to be cheap either.
Yeah. I mean, look, that Pro is going to be probably worth thousands and thousands of dollars down the line. You know?
I was given two price structures, and I'm hesitant to say because they were both different. One was the entire bundle package of $1,300. The other bundle package of $1,100.
Hey, my first car didn't even cost that much. Come on, you know.
Can't wait.
I
can't wait.
Let me say this: by now, everyone on this panel is used to having their childhood hoard out to the highest common bidder. Okay, so it's not something new that they've been doing. Nintendo's been doing it for ages. PlayStation's been doing it for ages. Even Xbox has been doing it. And this is what we as gamers sort of gravitate towards. Anyone saying otherwise is just a bold-faced lie. I mean, I was going to get the PS5 Pro day one. But now, doubly so, I'm taking a day off work to even have the opportunity to buy this PS5 Pro bundle, whatever it's going to cost, $1,200, $1,500. So, yeah, I mean, but then again, that's what I want. I mean, and when we talk about the power narrative and everyone was talking, look, the reason that console costs $700 is because somebody's got to get the population used to the price point. When games went up from 59 to 69, somebody had to be the first person to pull the trigger and say, okay, our game is going to be $69.99 to get everyone used to it. Now people are accepting the fact that games are going to be $69.99. Same thing with iPhones. Back in the day when iPhone first came out, it was like $500. But then they released the iPhone X or whatever they called it back in the day for $1,000. Now $1,000
SSR,
the pisser,
if you will.
Advanced ray tracing.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting. They're not just warming you up for
2
next
terabyte,
gen,
2 terabyte SSD.
I mean,
Right.
You can make an argument if we really took the thing, we broke it down, right? We opened the guts of the PS5 Pro up, and you're like, look, Mooch, this actually could have went for $620. Okay, fine, but my point, right? But like, come
on now, like how many people when you build a PC, right? What is the base level GPU that you need in there to run?
It could be whatever you want.
Well,
it depends what performance you're looking for.
It depends on what you want.
Run games
right. You just want to play games. You just want to play a basic freaking game. You can
spend under $1,000.
Okay, you can spend. But why do people buy 4090s and 4080s and all that other crap?
It's because you want native 4K. 60 plus FPS, uncompromised gaming in your games. That's the reason why.
Right.
And that's the thing. I am not a PC gamer, okay? I am a console gamer. So to me, this console is the PC, is that equivalent of buying a 4090 on a PC. So for me, if this is what's going to get... No. I'm not saying it is a 4090 to me as the equivalent, because it's going to let me play my games in the best resolution, fidelity, whatever you want that I can get right now, that money can buy on a console. So if that's the case, that's what I'm going to buy, because that's
the thing with the Pro, right? Because it's kind of like, I look at it as like cars, right? If you're in the market for a car, do you get a Toyota Camry or do you get a BMW M3? Like it's all about what your pockets can afford. You feel me? And I feel like with the PlayStation 5 Pro, it is an enthusiast device. It's priced as such, and it's not really something that I think will be mass adopted where it'll sell 100 million on its own, right? I do agree with that, but I also look at it as it's more so if you're somebody that's looking to get the best experience that you can on a console, within the console ecosystem, on a console platform, the PlayStation 5 Pro will provide that. And this is the asking price for that. Not saying it, I'm not saying that everyone has to accept that or whatever, but again, it's more of an enthusiast thing. Kind of like with PC, where, if you're looking to get the best performance on PC, there's levels to it. If you get a 40 series, you can get a 4060, 70, 80, or 90. If you're looking to get a 90, you're looking to spend close to $2,000 on just that GPU alone. But this is what you get out of it. You have to decide, looking at the 4060 between the 4090, which do you think is worth the asking price?
Well, yeah, and that goes to say, right? Like if you say, okay, I want to play these games in the best possible light that they can be shown in, money no object, then that's what you do, right? That's what you have to do. Like if I was a PC gamer, it would be a non-issue. I probably wouldn't even think twice about buying a PS5 Pro. I wouldn't think about it because I wouldn't need it. However, as a console gamer, if I want the best fidelity, this is what I have to pay. This is the bar that is set. Therefore, that's what I have to buy. So, yeah. By the way, let me ask you a question, Persona. A little bit of a pushback. They say you buy everything PlayStation makes. Did you buy the PlayStation stress balls?
What? No.
The PlayStation 30th anniversary stress balls. You know, remember the beginning?
No.
Okay.
See, you don't buy everything. See, there it is.
I do.
That's the critics.
That's the critics.
That's what the critics say. You know, they say I buy everything. So.
Well, I bought those freaking stress balls, so I want that crown.
You know, I do. So here's what you guys get. Just anyone in the chat that's listening that saw some of the news but hasn't really actually dug into the news. Guys, and tell me if I'm wrong on this. The Pro bundle, okay, and we don't have a total for what the bundle is. If we'll speculate in a minute. You get the PS5 Pro, right? Easy there, Death Singer. I know. You're chomping at the bit. I know he is. We've also got you get the DualShock Edge. You get the charging stand. You get a DualSense controller, the typical one. These are all 30-year anniversary, by the way, and then a few collector's items. And if I didn't say the stand, you get also the vertical stand in addition to that as well.
And don't forget the paperclip.
And the paperclip. Thank you so much for yes. That's something we cannot forget. We just can't let that go. But what do you guys think here? I'll throw that out there. What do you guys think as far as the cost of this thing? I mean, will they go over the $1,000 mark?
I hope so. So to deter people from buying it, I'm trying to buy it. You understand? So let it be
There is no way this thing is hitting less than $1,300, $1,400. $200 is
nah, 14. It's
gonna be 14.
No.
Come on, guys.
14 is egregious. I think realistically, because if you price everything out individually,
right, and I have it here too,
it comes out to about a little over 1,000, maybe like 11, like maybe 1050.
Yeah.
So I feel like 1,000 to 1,100 might be where this bundle lands.
Yes, I got some numbers here. The Pro, right?
1,200 might be like, at the mix.
Yeah,
really.
You have to pay for the paint glow up, So
but also you might want the portal, right, to go along with it.
No, but that's no.
Yeah,
that's all separate.
That's separate.
True.
So we're talking about the PlayStation,
right? Just the bundle.
We're talking about the PS5 Pro bundle, itself, which only comes with the Pro, the Edge controller, and the charging station.
Yeah, 1,100. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not going to give 1,100. I'm telling you, it's $1,300 or $1,400.
No, 1,100 sounds right.
Here's the thing:
the guy that gave me the price for the PS5 Pro is the one that told me that this bundle is going to be $1,200, and he's the one that gave me that price of $700. And so I don't, so far he's been dead on, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they want to go good foot forward, you put this thing at $999.99 and you call it a day. You know what I mean?
It's a collector's item.
It's going to cost $1,230.
Wait.
RG, I think 1,200. 1,200. I mean, because you're making 12,000. Do 12.
Are we talking U.S. dollars or are we talking
U.S.?
We got so many currencies on this call.
U.S.
dollars.
Yeah, 1,200.
U.S.
Yeah, U.S. dollars. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see 1,200 like at the max.
Okay.
But again, it's a collector's item. You feel me? 30th anniversary and all the things that's being bundled with it. Mm-hmm. And then probably putting that little extra tax on it for being a 30th anniversary special edition console and all that stuff. I could see them.
All you can say is
1,200.
You can swap the controller too.
Does it? But it only comes with the Edge controller. It doesn't come with the regular one, does it?
No,
it comes with both.
It comes.
I thought I said both.
Yeah, it comes
with both.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So, I got to have this. I don't care if it's $1,200 or $2,500. I'm buying it. I don't care. Period. If I have to go to StockX or eBay to buy this from a scalper, so be it. I have to do this.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not going there. He said, "Well, wait.
If you really want it, just buy yourself a GPU at that price." I mean,
well, yeah, if you're in the $2,500 range.
I want a console with the old PS1 glow up. I don't want a GPU with a PS1 glow up.
There you go.
That's the thing.
So wait, let me ask you guys a question. Does anybody on the panel know, can we get a PS5 Pro 30-year edition, just the console? With, of course, the DualSense?
No.
Okay.
The Pro is only, at least how I'm interpreting it in terms of the article, The Pro model is a bundle only, and is 12,000 of those have been, or 12,300 of those have been made. In terms of the regular PlayStation Slim Special 30th Anniversary Edition, I'm assuming that'll probably be more available because there is no production number attached to that, and they only really specified that Pro bundle being.
They are supposed to give the details of the bundle at the TG or TG whatever the hell it's called.
State of Play or
the Tokyo Game Show.
okay.
I believe they're going to go a little bit further into it because, from my understanding, like the article says about the bundle, but from my understanding is you can customize. Like, there's going to be a couple of different bundles for it. So, like, there's going to be a bundle where you can get everything in it, and then there's going to be a bundle where you can get the Pro and the one controller, and then. So, from my understanding, there's going to be several different like segments of purchase. I just don't think they've detailed out yet exactly what that's going to be.
That seems so backwards. Why stagger out information like that?
Yeah,
really weird.
Well, Sony right now, man.
They have no competition. They have no reason to do anything. Like, welcome. That's how it's going to be from now on, right? Like they have zero reason
on Tuesdays either.
I'll even go as far as to say this: if they made an Xbox Series X with a see-through green casing and a controller that matched that see-through green casing, I would pay $600-700 for that one as well.
Sure, but they won't do it because they don't care about hardware.
They don't care. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. These companies know what we want, and
Sony knows for sure. They're like, hey, let's slap this out there. I think do you remember? Wasn't there a 20th anniversary PS4 edition?
There was.
Those things go for thousands of dollars now. If you like, I could see people buying this thing and like not even taking it out of the box and just use it to.
Oh yeah, it's a collector's.
Yeah, for sure.
If I get it, it's a collector's item for me. Like I'm not using this thing at all.
When they get number one, the first one made.
When they first announced,
they're going to be numbered. They're going to have numbers on them.
Mm-hmm.
When the announcement first broke this morning, I was in the middle of class and I got a text on my watch, and I looked at it and I'm like, oh my god! So I wrote a problem on the board because I'm a teacher, and I told my class to do it. And I walked out and I went to my car and watched the entire.
What his classroom didn't know is it was unsolvable. Yeah,
teacher of the year.
There was no answer.
I do have to say
priorities. I
do have to say though,
that's for sure.
People want number one, but wouldn't you want number 69?
Oh,
come on!
Well, number one actually
number 69 PS5.
So
come on,
number one is actually already PlayStation already used number one for their promo, so that one no one will get number one.
Yeah.
Wait,
that's probably a good point.
One of the exact.
I actually wouldn't mind a 96 in honor of me and my wife. There you go.
So great. It's good stuff.
Well, you need to make sure you're 96th in the queue then to buy.
Exactly.
But this thing is definitely going to be like super, super limited. The thing for me that's like most funny about this is like I've seen certain people who were vehemently against the PlayStation 5 Pro and its pricing.
Yeah.
Caving, saying, gotta have this, must have this, thing. So it's just funny to see how fickle the online gaming community can be when it comes to things like this.
All they needed was a paint job.
That's it. A lot of people, a lot of people literally said today. I mean, again, it's in our community. I don't know if that's a large or small census. You guys tell me. They're like, well, I wasn't going to do it, but now I'm caving in. Now, the thing is here's the thing with the limited amount and how absolutely flooded, because it's not going to go to retailers. This is only going to be available through PS Direct. So with that being said, I mean, listen, I'm going to try just for fun. There's no way I'm going to get... Listen, Persona, you and Bari, I don't know what system you guys got, and it's probably going to work. Mine's not. I know I'm not going to have any luck with this. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it. And that's all right.
I'm going to try everything I can to get it because I really, really want that bundle. And like all of it. So the portal, I'm gonna try to get all of it if I can. Then cool. But all that stuff is strictly gonna be collector's item stuff. I don't plan to use that.
No, I said this on the on Twitter today, earlier, X, if you will. I said I'm still planning to go. I'm doing GameStop. I'll get the PS5 Pro there. I'm going to do the Moochonomics route and get that 350. But listen, I got to be, and that's good news. By the way, Persona and Bari are smiling right now. They're like one more down that's not online.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Don't buy it. Nobody needs that.
Nobody
Who
get
needs
it.
that 30th
Nobody get it.
anniversary?
Persona's
Yeah,
like,
please stay away from the websites.
Put out information on the wrong time and when that thing goes live.
oh my God.
I think no, it goes live September 32nd.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah. So, it was one thing I got to give credit to Bari and Persona as I kind of move on to another subject here real quick. And guys, if you do want to chime in and go back to this subject, everything will kind of cross over as the night goes on.
I do want to say something before we move on.
ahead.
I do have to dip out in a few seconds anyways, but I do feel sorry if with this news breaking, I really feel bad for the Nintendo YouTubers. So
why is that?
Because I don't know if y'all have heard, but this week was supposed to be the week that that Nintendo came down from on high and blessed us with the Switch 2, and everyone was saying they were going to announce the Switch 2 today.
The poverty Nintendo YouTubers. Yeah, I'm taking shots at them because they all like me anyway.
You're not a Nintendo YouTuber.
They hate me anyway,
No.
said Sean.
It's October. I don't understand. Obviously, we're going to talk about the leaks in a little bit, but I don't understand why people think it was this month. Every single person I've talked to.
No, they thought it was today. They were like waiting. Yeah. Everyone was refreshing their feeds and waiting for Nintendo to drop an announcement that, hey, we're going to announce the sucker today.
Yeah, they were doing it yesterday too. I was just like, okay. People like Nintendo's scrambling right now because of the leaks. I'm like, they don't give a fuck. They gave you some shitty Super Famicom games to go play on Nintendo Switch Online. There you go, buddy. You'll be all right. The whole thing is crazy.
So it's funny. I got to give credit because we'll talk a little bit about the remasters that are going on, right? So the remasters that are going on through Sony right now, we hear that Horizon Zero Dawn, possibly now this is again news that came out afterwards, right? Was Days Gone maybe another one that they're announcing? But you also have, I believe it came out today, Dead Rising remaster came out. I believe it's today. If I saw the release date, I thought it said September 19th. Because I saw a lot of reviews also posting as well. But Bari and Persona, I got to ask you, you guys were saying it last night on the show, and you're like, a lot of people are giving Sony a lot of slack for this right now, but you were like, watch when we get a more powerful Switch. They're probably going to take, Breath of the Wild and these other games, and they're going to go ahead and say, Tears of the Kingdom, and they're going to put these things out again at 60 frames and resell them. Do you think that that's something, Persona, that will happen? I heard you guys mentioning it last night. I said I've got to add that to my topics list.
In terms of the Switch,
well, just remasters. I mean, in general. I mean, they see that the money can be made there.
Mooch, I know it wasn't my question, but they did it with the Wii U games.
Right.
Of course they're going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And people are going to lap that bullshit up. Just like fucking, I got motherfuckers coming after me. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to cuss.
That's all right.
I got people coming after me because I'm like, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is fucking ridiculous. Like, nobody should be paying $60. Oh, what are you talking about? It's like, bro, come on. Like, no, I am. Some games need remasters.
Right.
Some games I think benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
These types of games, not necessarily, people will lap it up and you'll see the hypocrisy out of people. 100%. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Have y'all seen that meme where that lady is catching this little girl who's jumping in the water and everything? So somebody posted something that, where they had Horizon Zero Dawn and the lady was catching her and everything like that, and then the person drowning on the side was Bloodborne. So
no, Bloodborne was
Bloodborne
was underwater
on this because when some of these games were coming out
is he breaking up?
Yeah, you're breaking up, Seeds.
What's that?
You're breaking up, Seeds.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're better now.
Okay, sorry, I was going through a dead spot. I'm driving. I was just going to say, like, when some of these games first came out, I was doing deployments. I didn't get a chance to play some of these games, so the fact that they're able to bring them back on this next-gen hardware where we can play the best version of them, I'm kind of in the ballpark of I'm cool with it because I didn't get a chance to play through them at that time. So now that I do have this hardware and I do have the time, some of these things are kind of meant for maybe people like me that didn't get the chance to play them at that time. And if I'm able to get my PS5 Pro and play some of these games in a solid 60 and whatever bells and whistles they put on it, I'm cool with paying for it. that.
But you
I
can,
know
but you
Book
could, but
may not
you,
because they
Get 'em,
were
get 'em,
able to play it at the time, but
get them.
but you can do that now with both Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone, where both of those games have a 60 frames per second mode and they run really well, especially on a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And it's
do you
10
think they'll
bucks.
run better on the
It's 10
PS5
bucks.
Pro?
I mean, yeah, with the game boosts, yeah, I'm sure they will. But the point
Yeah,
is, you
so
can
if I'm
play,
able
but
to
you
get
can play
that,
those now.
and
You go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was
No,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
you could play,
Good,
you
go
can
ahead.
you can play those now, and play them in really high fidelity. They look really good, really run well. I just feel like
For sure.
when it comes to Days Gone and Horizon Zero Dawn specifically, and again, these are rumors, so nothing's confirmed. So this is really just a what if scenario. But just to entertain
Yeah.
the conversation, with Days Gone, I love that game. Horizon Zero Dawn, I love those games. Me personally, I would much rather them say, "Hey, we're doing a Resistance trilogy remaster or remake or something like that, or Infamous."
That's too
1
much
and
work.
2.
That's too much work.
True, it might be, especially with the cell architecture and all those other different things. I'm sure, but I don't know. I just feel like Zero Dawn, Days Gone.
Well, for Zero Dawn, there's a difference between Days Gone and Zero Dawn. Is that Zero Dawn is taking the Forbidden West assets, so that's a bit different.
Yeah.
Days Gone, we have no clue what's going on with that. I personally, and I'm reaching here. I was talking to some of my followers on X. I'm reaching here again. I'm making it clear so nobody clowns me. I'm hoping they add some director's cut type of stuff. I know that's unrealistic, but I feel like that would be a nice added value because again, Days Gone with some DualSense features and I don't know, it's gonna look more crisp. Like maybe that's good for new people, but like for people, like I'll play it again only because last time I played it was back when it launched, which was when was that? 2019? It launched.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, so I'll probably play it again, but like if that's all that's happening, then I think a lot of people can just play the PS4 one. But if they have an upgraded path, that would be pretty good.
But here's the question.
Yeah, it's I think it's like a 15 to 20 man team that does these remasters, from my understanding, when they do some of these. So it's a very small footprint. And so for me personally, I don't care that they do them because it's not affecting the overall performance of the studio. I mean, when you're talking Guerrilla, they have way more developers than 20. And so for me, just my own opinion, like some people like physical, whatever, I'm cool with them doing these remasters, especially with the Pro coming, because I will be able to play it at its best version, so to speak. And so for me, I'm okay with that.
Well, no, that's proper because I've spoken to people. Sorry, I've spoken to people online, and Colin Moriarty, when he spoke, I think he spoke about the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. I think I mentioned this somewhere. He said it's not Guerrilla Games making it. It's supposedly a different team that's working on it, which makes sense.
That makes sense.
It's one of those type of teams that made some of the remasters, like the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection. Not the Nathan Drake collection. Was that them? I think it was. But they have other teams that also work on remasters as opposed to just the mainline team. Like Last of Us Remake originally was being made by the VSAG team, the Visual Arts Service Group over at Sony, as opposed to Naughty Dog. But then Naughty Dog took over that. So the Guerrilla Games situation with Zero Dawn and Days Gone, it's probably different teams than Sony Bend and Guerrilla Games themselves.
Well, here's the question that I have. You got this $700 Uber box that's coming out with the most recent high-end AI pisser architecture. Why can't they brute force a emulation for PS3 so we can play our PS3 games natively?
So
Go ahead.
So the PS3 situation is something I've been following for a while, and it's conversations that several people have chimed in, like Moore's Law is Dead, Jeff Grubb, Hip Hop Gamer back in 2020, but that was a whole thing that back then. And some people have chimed into this situation. It apparently, from how I understand it, throughout this period of time, it's in the works. Apparently, they got some games working on the PS4 even, but it's like garbage. It runs worse than it ran on PS3. So on PS4, apparently some games run, and this is from Moore's Law is Dead, the PS5 Pro leaker, and he's also a PC leaker. But I'm assuming if the PS4 ones didn't run well, I'm assuming the PS5 ones run decently. He says they have some games on PS5 running as well, And then when we heard Special Nick Nick Baker say that select PS3 games are coming, those two, I guess, rumors or reports, depending on who you talk to, when you talk about credibility, those two connected because Nick Baker said select games will be coming. Moore's Law is Dead said that some games seem to be working. So PS6 is what I've also heard as a possibility of a brute force, but I don't know about because again, PSSR is the upscaling tech. It's upscaling technology. It's not emulation related. So the issue with the PS3 is the architecture itself that they've had issues with to just get an emulator running properly and running those games. Because you have to, if you look at the PS2 emulation as well, from how I understand it, each game has different configurations. So you have to have people running different configurations just to let these games run on modern systems. So it's not a PSSR situation. It's just they have to get the emulator working because I'm pretty sure the PS5 is capable of running PS3.
I would certainly think so.
Or you could just buy a $300 mini PC and play every PS3 game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I was gonna say because you know the mighty Sony with all their Mark Cernys and all that can't figure it out, but a bunch of guys in their sat at home somehow managed to figure out PS3 emulation. Shout out to them. I mean, clearly Sony needs to employ these people because they know something they don't. I mean, there's got to be something there, right? Because how can your multi-million corporation not figure it out, but some guys at home can? But, you know, that's by the by. But what I was going to say was, with the remaster, it's weird, the Horizon remaster, because it's coming to PC too, and I am confused, because I'm like, PC can already run it maxed out, everything maxed out. So
yeah,
what
but
is
the
the
difference
remaster?
here is it's the Forbidden West aspect. Forbidden West assets being used as opposed to the regular. The Days Gone one is the more confusing one because if that's just the regular remaster, PC already has the best looking one.
Right.
Well, yeah, but it's still the problem of okay, you can have those assets, but I mean, is it really going to change much when you're running it already at maximum settings? I mean,
well, it's maximum settings, but it's still like Forbidden West and her Zero Dawn. That you can see the difference between those two. Zero Dawn already looks gorgeous. I've seen it on PC as well. But whatchamacallit, it's just the Forbidden West assets. That's the only thing that's different. But if Days Gone is just a remaster, upgraded here and there, I have no clue why that's coming to PC. That one's confusing.
Mooch, I got to run.
Okay.
So,
Wise, thanks
for having me on.
Appreciate you being here, Wise. Thank you.
And breaking news, I heard that they're going to remaster Concord for the PS5 Pro. So that's
that's great.
no. They're not going to remaster
Mooch is day one for that.
And by the way, I'm the only asshole who bought that controller as well. So there you go.
You're not alone. You're not alone out there, Wise. Wise, great to have you on here.
Controller as well.
I appreciate it. There you go. See, Persona's got it. No. So shout out to Stuart Stokes here. He says Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone have PC versions with higher quality assets. PS5 version of these games are still using medium to low PS4 settings at 60 FPS. Shout out to Stuart Stokes. Appreciate the super chat. I think that somewhat does that somewhat go fall in line with what you were saying, TC?
Well, yeah, but the only difference again for Zero Dawn, is again. You can have the highest quality, Horizon Zero Dawn assets, but they're still not, there's not Forbidden West. It's not how Forbidden West looks. It's not the Forbidden West character model and the world that we have there. Actually, I'm really curious to see the internet when they react to Zero Dawn Aloy having the same model as the Forbidden West Aloy. Is it going to be the same weird controversy about his looks? But
I mean, to be honest, the modders have already taken care of the looks. Like that's been done. Like they've made their own character models and put them in the game. So I wouldn't worry too much. In all different shapes and sizes, might I add. But yeah,
realistically, PC players could just mod Forbidden West assets into Zero Dawn and just be done with it.
Yeah, it's all catered for.
So let me ask a question here. Sean, you heard the panel. We kind of went through everybody here and their thoughts when it comes to remasters or remakes. I mean, and shout out to Seeds. Seeds was driving, so he had to dip out here. Hopefully he can join us when he gets back home. But you hear Seeds. There's people who are deployed. There are people who have not gotten a chance to play these games. But I do, listen, day to day, we're all on Twitter or X now. Pardon me. It's so hard to say just X because some people are like, what?
Just say Twitter.
Thank you.
I call it Twitter.
All right. I was going to say, I hope you guys don't mind because some people don't like it when you say that. I'm like, oh, Twitter. And, you know, to be honest with you, you sit here and you say, okay, wonder why. I mean, they say money grab. I think it's kind of a space filler, personally. I think it's, right? While PlayStation is getting ready to have their first party back end be better, right? Their second half of PS4 was a shining star. People forget, everyone has short-term memory in the gaming community. We all forget that. Everything that led up to PS5 was riding high for PS4 with their games, right? Ending, of course, with The Last of Us Part 2, which was amazing. So as they kind of prepare, and we saw the financial statements, Sean, the financial statements said don't even expect anything first party till April 25. You know, right. It was so like these are kind of filler. But the community says, wait a minute, no, they don't have anything. They're just filling us, pumping full of like these remasters and remakes. I think it just holds the audience over until they're ready to kind of show off. As annoying as it gets, it's and you cover a lot of Nintendo stuff, Sean. Has Nintendo had a hell of a 2024?
No,
right?
No, really, no company,
right,
has, in my opinion. I mean, PlayStation, Astrobot's still my game of the year.
Yeah, very good game, very good
until proven otherwise. But I think some of the divide comes from the fact that pricing. I feel like pricing is very important with a lot of remakes and remasters, and now we're getting to the point of where these remakes and remasters, instead of being half priced or 60% of what a normal game is priced at. Like, look at the Until Dawn remake. It's $60. And yes, it's in a new graphics engine, but it's the exact same game.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a huge fan of Until Dawn, one of my favorite PS4 games. I'm not buying that. I know what the game offers. I have no reason to sort of go back and buy this game. There is no upgrade path for it as well. And it almost feels like these upgrade paths are starting to diminish when it comes to especially the remakes and remasters. So, I fully, the Horizon thing is happening. I mean, it was leaked by the ESRB. So that's a foregone conclusion at this point. Days Gone, obviously that's a bit more speculation. I do know, Jeff Grubb said something about another remaster that was potentially going to be at State of Play that wasn't as exciting as something like that. So maybe that was the game he was alluding to. Not trying to put words in his mouth or anything like that. It's a tricky balance, because if I can go out and get a damn good version of that game that is enhanced for the PlayStation 5 for $10, like I can with Horizon Zero Dawn, is there going to be enough incentive to want to buy this $60
Is Sean botting for everybody, or is that a me problem?
There's stuff. I think if you add like a director to this, spend $10.
Can anybody? Is anybody else hearing Sean? Sean, are you botting? I don't. I asked the panel. Is
that's what I was wondering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Discord.
I'm like, nobody said anything. Maybe it's me.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I
Discord
thought it was
messing
me.
up because it was at 5,000 milliseconds.
Oh, okay, Sean. Sean, you're back now. I'm sorry, Sean, but what you just said, a lot. We couldn't hear you before. It was botting out, and then I asked the panel. I got no response. I'm checking everything I got on my PC system. I'm like, maybe it's a me problem, but no, Sean. Do you mind repeating at least a synopsis of what you just said?
Okay, sorry. Fuck. Where did I cut off? Do you remember?
It was right after what Jeff Grubb said. And by the way, the great Jeff Grubb is in the chat. I asked Jeff Grubb if he heard what Jeff Grubb said. He said days go on. But go ahead, Sean. It was right after what you said with Jeff Grubb.
So there we go. So yeah, it really comes down to perceived value. It wasn't me. It was fucking Discord.
It was Discord.
See, everyone's giving me shit in the chat.
Yeah, it was not. It's not Sean.
What it really boils down to is, the diehard Sony fan, are they going to rush out and buy this, or is it going to be someone, a more casual sort of basis? It all comes down to pricing. If you add in additional content, now you're talking about something that has an additional value. But if you're not really adding in that additional value for your diehard PlayStation base who has been playing and already played these games, are they going to want to spend $60 on something that they probably already own it? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I do. And I think that's the one thing that, when it comes down to it, a lot of these games, there's certain games that were remastered. Like, I'll give you an example. The Last of Us Part 2, yes, I bought that remaster. Do I plan on buying Horizon Zero Dawn? Myself, no. Days Gone, and here's the thing, Persona, maybe you could back me up on this one, Persona, I got the platinum on that, and I think I said this to you on the show a long time ago, but that platinum, I think that last 25 hours, 20 hours, they could have cut that a little shorter. I love that game to death, but then those last few missions went on a minute. I don't think I'd want to go through those again.
It's a really, Death Strand. I mean, Days Gone is a really long game.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I loved it. I would hope that if PlayStation are to do these remasters, they would have like something kind of added on, like what they did with Last of Us Part 2, what they did with God of War, Ragnarok with that free mode or whatever. If they add something onto that kind of lightens the blow that some people may be feeling when it comes to these remasters. But if it's just like a straight remaster, I can understand some people not feeling or feeling some type of way about it. Me personally, for Days Gone and Horizon, I'm as of right now, I'm kind of just like, I'm good on it. But
I'm good. Yeah,
I know myself. Where like if they show like this new mode or this new thing, I may end up picking it up. But as of right now, it's a pass for me. I'm good.
Yeah. No, I'm in that same boat. TC, what about you? I'm asking you here because I know you collect a lot of I wouldn't want to say remasters, but a lot of games. And is that a situation for you where you'll pick this up, or like Persona, they'd have to offer you an incentive, which means either a look into the game or a different mode, a game mode, or something else offered besides what you already own, probably already beat?
So for me, what I was hoping, and again, I mentioned this earlier in the conversation. Again, maybe it's a reach, but I was hoping that Days Gone would have something additional to it, because again, if it's just a normal remaster, PC players are going to be insanely confused as to what is the purpose of this thing coming onto PC. Now, Zero Dawn getting Forbidden West assets, that's a different situation. In terms of me picking it up, I'm hoping that there's upgrade paths. There's got to be an upgrade path for Zero Dawn and Days Gone. One thing I was hoping for Days Gone, and this could be another reach, but I think this would sell it to a lot of people, is if they had some type of online mode. Honestly, just because we know that their next game they have some online capabilities. Maybe a small team decided to, hey, you can go through the Days Gone world with a buddy, and then you have several missions to do. Blah blah blah. I think that would get people on there, just like how they released the Last of Us remastered, Last of Us Part 2. They had that online mode, not online. It's the Horde mode that they had there. They could even do something along those lines as well to add to it. But the peak for me is if there's some lost DLC or something the original team never finished, and a small team maybe tried to get together and just polish it up and then get it ready for launch. I think that would sell it to people. But if it's the same thing, just like, I don't even know, because it runs great on PS5 already. I don't know who that's for.
I would imagine that they, from what I've been seeing, because I've been seeing this quite a bit as well, that this is really more so for newer developers at their teams to really learn the ropes of like how to really create at PlayStation. So that's what these remasters might really be geared towards, is just getting those developers up to speed on,
But there also has to be a final value for it. Like they're paying these developers to get they're paying these developers to get something up and running and working. But business wise, it would make no sense just to try to give these people experience when any one of them could just leave the company at that moment, But you want people who are trying to get more leadership roles to
Mhm.
take on some of these smaller projects. That's great for a team,
Mhm.
but there has to be something of value here. I see it a bit with Zero Dawn because it's Forbidden West assets. It's going to look different, but for Days Gone, I'm like trying to pin down what exactly they're going to add. If it's not additional content, I don't know who you're going to sell, even if it's new
But
people.
I think TC, think about it. Everything you're saying, I completely agree, right? But I think it comes down to what Sean was saying a moment ago when he said it comes down to price. If these remasters were, I'm just using a number here, and you guys are going to say this is too much, $40, $30. Like,
I don't think that's too much. I think that's the sweet spot.
That's where it needs to
this
be.
Economy, that's
right?
the sweet spot. I don't want to see $60 like I'm seeing with Until Dawn. I want to see $40 or something like that. No matter the company, Sony, Nintendo, whoever.
Oh, Nintendo's so bad at this.
They're fucking horrible.
Yeah,
Until Dawn is also going to have a PS5 Pro patch as well. So
yeah,
that's not surprising.
Hey, Mooch,
what's up, crap?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sound like a downer, man, but these remasters and stuff, like that's lame, man. I don't like this generation I'm less and less thrilled by it. Yeah, and it's not just PlayStation, it's everything, right? It's like the things that I would once get excited for kind of suck now, and like I have no interest in going back and playing these games. They aren't, like the game that I have interest in going playing a new one would be something like KOTOR, right? And that's like apparently not happening now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's
like
it's
still in the works. KOTOR is
it is in the works.
But we don't know. Well, it's like I'd love
You're
to
talking
play
about
like
the KOTOR remake, right?
Yeah, I would love to play that, right? But I don't see why, Days Gone, like these games aren't that old. So I don't understand the thought process. And it's not like we're in, I could understand remasters when we went from like non-HD to HD, and then we went like HD to Super HD. Right, I can understand that, but it's like it just feels like it's just they're trying to just get some kind of filler, like these companies. You know what I mean? And I just it's like I don't know, and especially like having these games already had patches, like 4K 60 patches. So like again, I don't really understand it unless it's like they realize, hey, we screwed up with our service games and we need to get some stuff out there, right? Because they sort of did that. With the PS4, if you remember, they came out with what was it, the Nathan Drake collection or whatever it was.
Yep. And that was like Remastered.
Yeah, that was like a hastily put together collection too, right? It was like, we cut out the multiplayer, it's just bare bones, it's whatever. And it's not I get it, it's not just them. I mean, a lot of companies do that, but for me, when I'm looking at like stuff that I want to buy, it's becoming thinner and thinner as far as new games, man. It's like you know what I mean? Hey, I was happy for college football. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm looking at other stuff, and it's like there's nothing. Like I'm like, I got this money. I buy games all the time.
Yep.
But there's nothing to buy. I mean, Astrobot's great. Cool stuff there. But it's like realistically, I'm having a hard time finding stuff that I actually want to play anymore. And it's like I still enjoy gaming.
Third party?
Yeah, I there's not.
You didn't play Space Marine 2 recently?
No, I mean, I
still think you'd like that crap. I know you're fighting it, but I tell you, that's really up your alley.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
right
like
now.
it looks good. The more that I see about it, and actually, the developers had some comments that I was really in favor of. So yeah, the more I look at that, the more I'm like, hey man, maybe because they really called it kind of a throwback to the 360 PS3 era of games, which I like.
Yeah, because it's really inspired by Gears of War. Clearly, if you played the first one and the second one.
That's something that I could. I mean, that very easily could be, something that I get into. But it's like, a lot of the other stuff, man, is I don't know.
Well, listen,
how it is.
I know exactly.
It's like,
well, I had the next topic. I was going to go to you with this because I got to be honest with you. I want to hear your opinion on it real quick because the super chats disappear. I'm reading them real quick. I'll tell you, I don't know about you guys, but I think the pay-per-view of RGT 85 versus Babor Country is going to make a lot of money. I want to be Sean's agent. He says CM Buck dance for Mario 3rd release, so he's saying you'll pay for another Mario game. The Great Babor Country.
It's funny because if he got the wax out of his ear and listened, he would know that I just buried Donkey Kong Country Returns HD for being a Wii U or a Wii game at $60. But go on. Go on.
Hey, you know what the thing was though? Like I could understand. And I know it sounds like hypocritical or whatever, but I could understand. I'm not like a Nintendo glazer at all, man. Like everybody that knows I don't even like talking about Nintendo. But the Wii U, nobody played it. So they had these games that were actually pretty good on that thing that nobody played.
Yep.
So, they brought them to the Switch.
That's
like,
right.
Understandable, I guess. Like at least I could understand that. It's like, I don't know, didn't 20 million people play Horizon Zero Dawn already? And, 10 million people play Days Gone?
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. Yeah.
The thing of it is, Nintendo has a situation that's very similar to Sony, in where people are like, "Where is Bloodborne?" A lot of people are like, "Well, where is Xenoblade Chronicles X?" Because that's the one game that would actually benefit from being on the Switch, because you had to download like high definition texture packs and packs in order to speed up loading times with the game on the Wii U, but that game never got ported over. So there is still that one unicorn thing. And like, yeah, I get it. And a lot of these remasters have sold well for Nintendo, but that, it's kind of different because the Wii U sold 13 million. The PlayStation 4 sold a lot better.
Yeah, shout out to
like 120 million, I'd say. Yeah. So yeah.
God Emperor Sofa King. Shout out to God Emperor Sofa King. He's had a lot of laughing emojis. He goes, all these remasters, but no Bloodborne. God Emperor Sofa King also on his 14th playthrough of Hellblade 2. God Emperor Sofa King, much love to you. Love the great God Emperor Sofa King.
Hey, Mooch, can I say something real quick?
Please.
Like everybody's, and I'm not a Souls guy or anything. Maybe I'm ignorant on this subject, but everybody's like, man, do a Bloodborne remake or remaster or whatever. But that game didn't really sell incredibly well, right? Like 2 or 3 million copies.
I don't know the numbers on it. I don't know the numbers on that. I'll see.
Yeah,
see if I can find it.
Like I understand why people ask for it, but it's like when you look at it, how many it sold. I think they said, okay, well, it says about
7.5.
It says 7
million copies.
Yeah, I mean I guess that's a pretty good amount, but it's like,
well, remember, crap. The thing about it is this: the reason you're hearing it from the diehards, right? As far as the Bloodborne fans, right? That's one. 2, the Sony diehards, but here's a third one. Elden Ring really reached out to a lot of people, I think a couple of years ago, and it really, the DLC, you saw the impact it had. You had people that played Call of Duty Warzone nonstop on Twitch and YouTube Gaming, change their channels over for 2-3 months to beat the entirety of Elden Ring. So just to say, like that From Software nostalgia, it's grown to a much larger audience. I will say this: 7.5 million
selling 7 or 8 million at that time.
It's very good.
Souls games were very niche. Is actually extremely well.
That's very good.
If Bloodborne were to re-release now with 60 frames per second, even with just like a 60 frames per second patch or a remaster, and they released that, it would easily sell 10 plus million or more. And if they were to do a full-blown remake, I mean, listen, the sky's the limit with that game, because that is like one of the highest requested games that people want. So if they were to do
you could be right, but I mean, like, I don't think Demon Souls remake did that well either, right? Like, and that was amped up on PS5 and looked like a million times better. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a Souls guy. All that stuff kind of plays the same to me. It's not really my bag, but like Mooch, did you ever get into the Elden Rings things or whatever, or beat that or whatever?
Elden Ring, I got very, very far into it. Did not beat it. Still have not beaten it.
Yeah, because I remember I was watching some of your streams on it or whatever, and I was like, man, this is like, not my bag at all.
No,
but
it was not your bag.
I was just curious.
I didn't beat that game. I did get a good distance in it, but I just, after a while, I don't know, for some reason I got to be honest with you, I prefer, and I said this on the stream, so it's not like I'm saying it here and I didn't say it. I said it on the Twitch stream multiple times. I do prefer the linearity of what Dark Souls 3 was.
Yeah.
That's me. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit more traditional, old school. I don't mean old school as far as Souls games.
Is it going to be a Witcher 3 situation where it's just never going to get done? Or?
Oh, that one there might end up being like a Witcher 3 situation. I'm not sure if I'm.
Well, me and you were in that same boat, man. I never beat that shit. I put 100 hours into it, and
Witcher 3.
Why can't you beat The Witcher 3, man? That's such a great game.
No. You guys are. It's not. It's not that you can't beat it. It's very beatable. The thing about it, Singer, for me is I love the game. You'll never hear me talk bad about it. The problem with Witcher 3 is, like I always used to say, I left that game for the kids in my will. The game goes on for like 300 hours. hours, and you get so lost in the side quests. I played more side quests than main quests. I'll get you the hours offline. I'll even mention it next week. I got to look it up. But I played the hell out of it. I just felt like it never ended, and after a while, it was kind of like, all right, Yennefer, I hear you. Let's get on the horse again. So I was like, all right. It just got to a point where I was like, I wanted to move on to another game. Plus, I like to usually complete games, so there was no way I was going to complete that. But by the way, Witcher 3, phenomenal game. Listen, anyone loves it, go buy that game. I think you can get the game and all the DLC for extremely cheap right now, whether it be PC or console, and they've all been touched up and remade as well to a certain extent. I don't think there's any upcharge either. I don't believe.
But are you
anyways.
Are you gonna buy the remaster when it comes out for $60?
No, I'm not sure.
The thing is, I don't see CD Projekt Red doing that. But I beat it in like, what was it, hundreds, maybe less than 100. I would like to say, I need to double check on that, but because I beat it on Xbox and then I beat it on PC too.
Have you gone back to play it recently, Singer? Just dabble a bit? I went about a year. I went back and just dabbled a bit to go back and you could pick it back up. I mean, story you may be lost a little bit, but the mechanics on it are interesting. I'll say it the least. It doesn't really. Do you think? I see people in the chat right now going back and forth saying some of the mechanics don't hold up with today's type of fighting style. The way fighting mechanics work today. Do you agree with that, Singer?
The fighting is a bit clanky.
Wonky.
It's a bit clunky, but it's more so just being. I think it's just me because I like RPGs of being immersed in the world. Like when you get into the story and you actually get deep into it, you do some of the side quests.
I love how we're on. Crap, got a whole Witcher 3 thing going. God Emperor Silver King says I beat it in like 40 hours. If you beat it in 40 hours, you did 2 side quests.
Dude, just like you get caught up in the quest, and then like actually some of the side quests could be better.
They are
than some of the main stuff.
They are,
and so you get really kind of caught up in that, and then it just like goes and goes and goes, and then like I guess like I just lost interest after probably 100 hours, and like I even bought the DLC, right? Like the expansions, and never even played them because I never even got through the main stuff. So yeah, you know what I mean? Like I think for me, I like those like sweet spot RPGs, like Mass Effect games and the Dragon Age games. You beat them in 18, 20, 25 hours tops, right? Like those are like for especially now at my age, family and all this kind of stuff. Man, I don't got time to like that's why like people are like, oh man, he doesn't like these kind of games. Like listen, man, those Souls games, man, I don't got no 8 hours to backtrack or do this. It's like I got my time is limited. I got time to play something, an hour here or there. I want to make progress. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you, Crap. I hear you. But, it's great. All I hear is the great Persona and his he's got a bunch of sound effects where they're like, I've got a wife and kids. He's like a bunch of people, but it's true. When you get older,
it is true, man.
It is something. But I love it when Persona says that because I'm like, I hear it, Persona. There it is. I got a wife and kids. I can't be playing this game.
It's true, man.
Come on, Persona. Don't tell me you weren't thinking about hitting that sound bite. That's perfect.
I'll definitely hit it.
So let me do this real quick. I want to say shout out to Mash for the gifted subs. Mash, thank you so much. Shout out to the great Jeff Grubb again. Jeff Grubb is here in the chat. Great to have Jeff here. Crap, I'm going to go to you here because this is a nostalgia question. And listen, I'm interested. You guys know, everybody in the chat, people on the panel, you guys always know. I had Astrobot footage. I'm playing through Wukong. It's outstanding, by the way. If you guys are not playing that game, go pick that game up. Loving it, every bit of it. And I'm playing a lot of Warzone. You guys know The Haunting just came out this past Wednesday, which, if you guys happen to not notice, I love zombies, love Halloween, love any kind of vampire video game. Me. Right? Love it, TC. Love it.
Halloween's my favorite season of the year.
I got it. Listen, I only
Mooch had to be there for The Walking Dead, even when it got really, really bad.
Yes, I watched.
I couldn't do that.
I watched.
I gotta watch The Walking Dead.
Remember that? I was like, crap, we're gonna wrap this up. I got Walking Dead, and he's like,
Walking Dead, man.
You're still watching that? I'm like, absolutely. I think I was a producer in the last season. So I gotta tell you, listen, The Haunting's great. A lot of jump scares with the boxes you pick up and things like that. I love it. Michael Myers, you get in the battle pass this time. I recommend you guys go out there and grab it. A lot of fun. But I do gotta say this much. let's talk about Battlefield for a second here, because you guys know I was never like a huge Battlefield kind of person, because I didn't like the 165 million people on a map. You'd get hit from like 7,000 miles away. You see the glint from...
They had smaller modes too.
I know they did, but that's not where everybody wanted to play. Now Vince Zampella comes in here, who's got a lot of street credit when it comes to this. Okay, you guys, well, everyone loves Titanfall 2. Everyone loves Titanfall multiplayer. Okay, everyone loves Apex. Okay, let's give the great Vince Zampella a little bit of credit here. He's bringing it back down to 64. He's going to go ahead and make the game a little bit more back to its roots. I'm not saying I'm
Battlefield 3 and 4.
Right, and I'm not saying, and that's what I was going to say, because crap, you played Battlefield 4 for a while.
Yeah.
Right, so this is the thing. I think that if Vince is in charge, check. Smaller maps, main focus, check. I think this is worthy of going back and giving this a chance. Now, I'm not going to be one. I put it in there just to be fun. Can Battlefield challenge Call of Duty? Because you know that's going to be the articles next year. But I know the answer is no. Financially, no way. But as far as like, can it regain its audience? Crap, is that something that would bring you back if it goes back to its roots?
I think that they would have to add, and this is just a me thing, and you know how I am. They got to have some kind of campaign, right? Like just like
that's
4 or 5 hour campaign, just like get you used to the guns and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like for me, that's just how I am. Like, you know, I used to go to all the midnight launch Call of Duty games for the 360 back in the day. First thing I do, fire up the campaign. You know what I mean? Learn the guns, kind of get an idea for that kind of stuff. And so for Battlefield, I've liked Battlefield 4. You know, I like Battlefield in a way, but it's like they always had like lackluster campaigns, and you know,
Wait, have you played the Bad Company games?
Yeah, I love Bad Company 2. I thought that was tremendous. It had a great campaign.
Okay.
Right? Like it's amazing. In fact, I played it kind of recently, I'd say within the last year. I think they shut down the servers now, but that had a community on the 360 that was still playing. You can still find games. I think they shut down the servers recently, but up until a certain point, you could find like full games and stuff like that and play. So I thought that was really good. I wish they would have come out with a Battlefield Bad Company 3. I actually
that's the pinnacle. That's the pinnacle.
Right? Believe it or not, I actually like the direction they did with that Hardline game. I like the story in that. You get like, if you haven't played it, it's a couple bucks. You know,
Hardline
it's got
kind of fun.
I haven't played Hardline. I just thought it was bad.
Yeah, this like the multiplayer, I guess, was really bad, but the story for me is really good. You can beat it, and like, you know, it's like one of them 4 or 5 hour games. I thought it to be a pretty good story. You know, I would love to see. You know, like I said, it has to have a good story. They've got to have some good modes and stuff to it, Mooch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, you know, Battlefield used to be something people really look forward to.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden, I don't know what the hell happened. I think they got stuck one too many times with the old school Battlefield, like the, what was it?
Battlefield 1. But
Battlefield 1 was good. Battlefield 5 is where they fucked it up.
Yeah, like, see, I liked 1. Like, Mooch, didn't we play 1 quite a bit?
We played 1 a bit, but that was that was like World War 1, I believe.
Yeah. And then Battlefield V or whatever, that was like, I remember playing that a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was like, people were dropping me with like 2 shots. And
I didn't even try 2042. It was just like, hey, watch out for the tornado. Tornado? What?
2042 also didn't feel like Battlefield. I don't know what I'm like. I don't know what to pick on there specifically. It just didn't feel good to play as if you played like. I'm not gonna try to compare it to Bad Company 2 because that's pinnacle Battlefield for me, but personally. But even like Battlefield 4, like I'd rather go play that than 2042.
Yeah, I agree. Now, so go ahead, Singer. Go ahead, chime in, please.
I like me and Battlefield go back. Like Battlefield 3 for me was the pinnacle because you had.
Oh wow.
Battlefield 4 was fun, but like I think about the maps. You have like Operation Firestorm, Instant Classic, Operation Metro, which is just hell on earth. I have no idea how you figure out Metro. You just sit there and throw grenades all day. That's Metro in a nutshell. But it was just so fun because you had like the USAS-12 was absurdly broken. You could snipe people across the map. That was always hilarious until they eventually fixed it. But you know, it was just like so much. That's why I preferred it over Call of Duty at that time, because it was obviously people complained about Conquest, But there is nothing more funny than watching a blueberry get inside one of the planes, and you're just driving along in your tank, and you randomly see this plane 360 spinning and crash to the ground. You're like, well, great.
Crap, if you remember my analogies, that was me the plane landed on. That was my biggest problem with the Battlefield games. You're running, you got your team assembled, all this and that. All of a sudden, here comes a tank right over your head. There was just a lot of that, and I feel like a lot of people really dug that. They liked that. I loved the fact that the environment was destructible. That was something I thought Battlefield really had in their back pocket. That's awesome. Call of Duty, you could blow 1 million grenades and 100 magazines right at a wall. Nothing happens, right? You see the bullet holes, but they fade out. So I do think that Battlefield had that going for it, but the fact that they're bringing it down the scale, and Persona, the reason I'm kind of asking you this is, look at one of the things that I love that you and Bari did. I know that you guys have taken I think you guys skipped on a Modern Warfare 3. If I don't want to speak for you guys, but you guys used to do Call of Duty Sundays, and that was a lot of fun to watch, especially for me, someone that's a Call of Duty fan. Is the Battlefield series in Vince Impella's hands? I'm not even going to get into the characteristics. Okay, if you want to get into the characteristics, tell me why you're sold or not sold. But now that it's back in Vince's hands, do you think that this is a chance of would you expand your horizons into Battlefield? Did you have a history of Battlefield?
Absolutely not. For me personally, I'm good. Battlefield has never really been a series that really I put a lot of time into. I did enjoy Bad Company 2. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I never really played any of the other Battlefields too heavily. I played 3, I played a bit of Hardline and things like that.
Yep.
4. But
1943?
No, I didn't play that. I might have. I might have, but probably very briefly. But I've never really put the same amount of time in Battlefield like I put in Call of Duty. I've put in thousands of hours into Call of Duty. For me, Battlefield is just not a series that I personally like I do Call of Duty. And so for me, I don't see it being, with Vince Impella, I'm sure it will be good for the people who enjoy that series. Mm-hmm. For me personally, I'm good regardless. It could be Jesus himself baking this shit. I'm not buying it. I'm good.
The man himself cannot get Persona in there.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Sean, where are you on this? And the reason I'm even Persona, he tipped his cap and said, listen, no disrespect at all to Vince, and Vince is probably going to do a decent job with it. That's not his bag. But Sean, is Battlefield something that you've kind of ignored over the past few years since Battlefield 3 and 4 kind of separated itself from what Battlefield 1 and 5 and of course 2042 became? Are you more enthralled to kind of get back into it next year possibly?
You got to show me something.
Yeah,
I played that last one with Spawn Wave and MVG and stuff, and we played it for 3 days, and I was like, bro, I'm not playing this shit anymore. Y'all can go fuck yourself. And we actually downloaded, because Crap was saying, this was at the time when the servers were still live for Bad Company 2. I was like, look, we're playing Bad Company 2, and we just played that instead, and we had so much more fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be anyone at the helm of it. I don't give a fuck. You got to show me something. You got to convince me. A name isn't going to do anything for me.
Yeah. No, I think
what else could be, Mooch?
It
could be just that there's some games, because there's so much competition now. You got Apex and Fortnite and Warzone and all this stuff. Stuff like Halo, that stuff just was never going to be as popular as it once was.
Yeah.
It could be that way with Battlefield, because where does Battlefield fit in? They don't have a BR mode, right? That would have to be something separate, I guess. I don't know. It's like Call of Duty manages to do that well. A lot of people like Warzone. I'm just a guy who just likes doing TDM and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's I still like the base Call of Duty game, and I think a lot of other people do too. That's why those games end up selling well. People are buying them when even though Warzone's free. Battlefield has to figure out what they're doing. I will say Vince, he used to do. He's the guy that kind of came up with Call of Duty Modern Warfare, right?
Okay.
He was part of that group, and then he came up with Titanfall. Right. So the guy does have a pedigree for doing good multiplayer stuff. So if it's like a reboot and they're going to try to find their spot, I think that's good. But I also just think that Battlefield might not ever be what it once was, because there's so much more competition now, and it's just when you look at it, man,
Battlefield holds that weight that I think will bring people back if it's done well. Because right now they have 4 teams, I believe they said they were working on it. Motive is working on the campaign. DICE is working on the multiplayer, and they have another team. I forgot what the team was called. They're working on a different mode. I don't think they was shared what it is, but I think it's a battle royale mode. I don't know. Maybe that's a separate battle royale. But
I always thought
they
Halo would have made a good battle royale
Battlefield
too, but
Battlefield has a very dedicated fan base, right? So I don't think that Battlefield necessarily will fail, right? Because even this last Battlefield, was sold.
People are still fighting for 2042 right now.
Yeah, so I'm saying Battlefield is it's not as popular as Call of Duty. Like I remember back in the day, there could have been a time where Battlefield could have dethroned Call of Duty, but that was like way back during the PS3 gen, and we long past that. But I do think that Battlefield does have a dedicated enough fan base to where it can stand on its own.
Yeah,
it's also unique enough because it's like conquest mode is not done in shooters. Like planes, tanks, helicopters, huge battlefields. Like outside the battle royale games, multiplayer games generally don't have that much going on all at once. So if they could bring it back to 3 and 4, you'll easily see the success it had last time. Then actually it will beat Call of Duty. But Battlefield, I always found, was a bit more, if they keep the mechanics the same, a bit more realistic. And what I mean by that is, like, shooting a sniper, at the time, playing Battlefield 3 and 4, you shot a sniper rifle, you'll miss. You need to take into account bullet drop, right? Yeah. Whereas if you shot a sniper on Call of Duty, it just goes straight to the head. It's done. You can just quick scope all day.
But there's a different type of fun for both.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Battlefield's more realistic, if you could call it that. As in, it's a bit more, it's not Call of Duty standards of just running around blitz and everything, although there is that in there. So, I mean, no other game is doing the conquest mode, as far as I'm aware. So...
Yeah, I think it's a combination of what everyone said, and Persona kind of is that icing on the cake when he said there's enough of a Battlefield audience out there. Dethrone Call of Duty? No, but enough to keep it on its feet. If it's good, yes. Yes, and I do think that that's really kind of where it stands right now. Let me do this. I want to go to the great Sean here. As you guys know, Professor RGT85, everybody. We're going to be starting to talk a little bit about the Switch 2 here. Sean, a lot of the specs have come out, and everything from the 12 gig of RAM. And I don't even want to recite it. You probably have all the stats in front of you, Sean. I'll start with a real simple question. From what you saw on the modeled makeups that we saw there, those I don't know if they're AutoCAD or how you want to actually say that, the 3D imaging we saw, and then the spec sheet. How much of what you saw do you believe, and do you think it's a big enough leap if that is to be the truth and what we saw in those leaked specs?
As far as how much of it do I believe, very minimal, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact that, when you look at the source of where it's coming from random forum posters in China, and there's been lots of back and forth on whether or not, these are renders, no, they're actual pictures, this, that, and the other. To me, it's when you look at the spec list and you look at what it's setting out to do, that sounds very in line with what people have been kind of theorizing this system is going to be, almost to a T. And that is what kind of throws me off about all of this stuff, is that it sounds exactly like what people have theorized with it. Now, that's not to say that it's not true, and maybe people that were theorizing about it got it just completely spot on somehow, some way. But I really take it all with a grain of salt, because yes, the Switch is going to be, in terms of, or the Switch 2, Switch successor, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Right.
In terms of raw power, yeah, it's going to be underpowered. It's obviously going to rely on things like DLSS upscaling and stuff like that. Like you've seen, the pisser is now, a thing like that. I don't know. I'm very wait and see about this. There was so much shit this week that this was supposed to be the week because of this, that, and the other. And now it's, it's Friday in Japan, or about to be Friday in Japan, if it's not already early in the morning. I just don't see anything happening this week. Definitely nothing happening next week because you have Echoes of Wisdom and Tokyo Game Show starting.
Yeah.
Like I think you'll probably see it in October, maybe. Like none of this is guaranteed. People are just running with every little thing because a lot of, whether Nintendo fans want to admit it or not, a lot of them want new hardware. It's been a long time. The Switch, when it came out, was already outdated technology, so you want kind of the new thing.
So, Sean, remind me here, when the Switch came out in March, it was March the year that it launched. When was the announcement for it? Do you remember? Was it the same year or was it in October, November the year prior?
It was October.
Okay.
And a lot of people are kind of equating that situation to what's going to happen here. And they're like, oh, well, it's going to happen in October and then it's going to come out in March. That was out of necessity. That was out of the Wii U is a goddamn failure. Our stocks are low. We need something to excite people. They don't have to do it this way. You had different leadership then as well with the system and the launch of the system. So, if you had to ask me what I think about, what it's actually going to be like in your hands and when you get it, I'm leaning more towards it being like what is being stated. But I'm not putting a lot of weight into the exact specifications and all that sort of shit with this, because you have the current president who is much more business focused than, coming up with new sorts of hardware. Like Iwata was a very look at the systems under Iwata. They were all very different from each other. I feel like Nintendo struck a chord with the Switch, and that's what people want out of this new system. They want something that's more powerful, that will play games better, that will be able to play more modern games and not have to have huge sacrifices and huge compromises, and play those first party games. Because at the end of the day, that's why Nintendo sells, because people buy those first party games like crack cocaine, even if they're overpriced, even if they're not good, even if there are games that are similar to it that are better in the genre.
Yeah. No, that definitely holds water. Okay, so Sean, let me ask you, because guys on the panel, honestly, I want you to chime in when you hear these answers from Sean. Sean, what do you think, though, at the end of the day? Are we talking about the rumors saying it's ultimately going to be like a PS4 Pro kind of strength, or PS4, Xbox One era? Is that enough of a leap for, like you said, for the Nintendo diehards that realize now, they were like, even when it came out, it was behind the times? Is that enough? Of course, that'll be behind where we are now, but for a handheld with Nintendo games, and Nintendo is going to be getting, I think next generation, Sean, you do see the Call of Duties on there, back there again. I think the last time Call of Duty was on Nintendo, wasn't it the Wii U? Yes. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, you'll see these games, and if it does in fact have PS4 Pro or PS4 type of power, it could totally handle a Call of Duty type of game, those types of things. So in the end, is it enough of a leap at the end of the day? Because it's already going to be, like you say, a bit of behind the times, and a lot of people say Nintendo games don't need that. But I'm asking for Nintendo fans. You have your ear to the ground with Nintendo fans. Are they wanting more?
Mooch. Most Nintendo fans take whatever is given to them.
Okay.
That's why I get blowback when I say I'm not buying Donkey Kong Country Returns HD at $60, and you're crazy if you do. Nintendo fans are, and you could say it about any diehard fandom. They will buy whatever is put out there, either for collection purposes or because they genuinely enjoy it. I have to go back to last year, when allegedly there were behind closed doors presentations of things like Breath of the Wild running at 4K 60 on the new hardware, or what was targeted to be the new hardware. But the more interesting thing to me out of that was the other report saying that the Matrix demo was up and running on this system. And if that's the case, it really boils down to what sort of technology is in the system, because we are at the point of diminished returns with a lot of graphics in games. And that's why you're starting to see things like, ray tracing be a huge thing. Me personally, I could live without ray tracing. It's not something that really impacts my gaming experience. I understand that there are people that love it. So, it's tough to say. I think it's not necessarily about the raw power. It's about what you do with the power. And if you're able to make games and developers are able to put their games on the system with what you have. And that's really what it's going to boil down to. The diehard Nintendo fans, you could take a shit in a box and write Nintendo on the side of it. It'll sell over 1 million copies because, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But, as far as the gaming enthusiast goes, you have more competition. When the Switch came out, you didn't have shit. You didn't have a Steam Deck. You didn't have a ROG Ally.
That's right.
You didn't have the new ROG Ally and stuff like that. So you kind of have to look at the marketplace. And that's what a lot of people are hopeful for, is that they are looking at the marketplace. They are looking at these systems and not necessarily treating them as competitors, because obviously at the end of the day, these ROG Allies and Steam Decks, which I use a ton of, they're essentially PCs in the palm of your hand. So they're going to be able to do more things like video editing and stuff like that. I do hope that they look at that as a baseline, though, as a metric, as, we need to be able to do things at least like this. And then, the upscaling is the big wild card in this. What is it actually going to be? How advanced is it going to be? And how well is it going to work? Because you can make up for things in games with this if used properly, like you've seen with, ever since NVIDIA announced DLSS and what it was able to do on lower end PCs to bring these games up to higher visual fidelity and higher frame rates and all that sort of stuff.
So, Sean, the $1 million question before I go to the panel, what's the price on this thing is your estimate?
At least 400. I think 400 is a sweet spot for it. They're not going to sell it at a loss, so you have to take that into consideration because they don't sell their hardware at a loss. And I think 400 is the sweet spot. If you want to do maybe multiple SKUs, maybe you do a 400 and a 500, but just based on the economy, based on the pricing of these other systems, I think 400 is the sweet spot for this.
Okay, so you're saying, just because Crap said it earlier, he was saying it in regards to Sony, there's no way you see this thing going for 500 because Nintendo knows they kind of have that market. No way.
I mean, there is the off chance, but my mentality with a lot of pricing things is I look at it like this. A $399.99 is a lot more attractive than a $499.99. And if I could sell two things at $399.99 or one thing at $499.99, I would rather sell two things at $399.99 because I'm making more money on it. But it really boils down to, the cost of how much it actually makes or how much it costs to manufacture a system.
One of the concerns too, and guys, chime in on the panel, please. You don't have to be. I'm asking Sean because Sean really does have his ear to the ground in the Nintendo world. Is one of the concerns I went and got. I did the upgrade because the upgrade was a fraction, and it looks 1,000 times better. I went and got the OLED version when the Switch upgraded. A lot of people were concerned because if there is in fact no OLED on Switch 2, people were concerned even with the power being upgraded, the screen will look degraded. It'll look degraded a bit. So, Sean or anybody on the panel, is that a concern where you're going to you have this beautiful OLED screen, you're going to trade it in to get your Switch 2 that has more power, it's going to look phenomenal, and then you take it out of the box and you're like, man, it doesn't have the sheen of that OLED. Is that going to hurt, or is that something we got to wait for Nintendo to give us 3 years down the line?
I'll say this and then anyone can chime in. You when you're looking at the LCD screen in the standard Nintendo Switch, you're essentially looking at a 2015 screen. You know what I'm saying? That's a bottom of the barrel LCD screen.
Yep.
Not all LCD screens are equal. Not all OLED screens are equal.
That's true.
And LCD, and we're doing, assuming it's just an LCD screen. LCD screens in the modern era look a lot better than they did 10 years ago.
100% agree with you. Yes.
So that's kind of what it boils down to. If it's a high quality LCD screen, most people I don't even think will notice a difference with it. So that's kind of what it boils down to, is what type of LCD screen is being used in here, because I think you could easily replicate, what the OLED screen in the Switch OLED model uses.
So, the reason I say I 100% agree, Persona, I think you've said this a number of times on Twitter. I know Bari said it. A lot of people were bashing the PlayStation Portal, but that's an LCD screen and it looks amazing.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
I have one.
right. So yeah, exactly. I think it looks amazing. So I mean, Persona. You heard what Sean was saying there. A lot of what he's saying, I kind of agree. Do you think that this is the situation with the Switch? Is that something that you're going to be okay with purchasing with those regards? Basically, PS4 maybe a little bit stronger than that. Around that $399 price tag. Does that sound about right for you to upgrade?
So I have like a couple of discrepancies.
Okay,
if you will.
Please.
Not discrepancies, but I guess things to point out, because like, when you look at the landscape of the handheld market now, you've got the ROG Ally, you've got the Steam Deck, the OLED version of the Steam Deck, where these handhelds are upwards of $500 or more, and they're significantly more powerful than a Switch right now. If we look at the Switch 2 and what this, if we were just to go off of what these rumors are or whatever, or even what we would hope that a Switch 2 would be when it comes to performance and what we hope to see, I can't imagine a Switch being 300. I see people in the chat saying 350, and I'm like, you people are you're out of your mind. You are out of your mind if you think that shit's going to be 300, 350. I'm saying 500.
Yeah,
I say at minimum $500 for a Switch 2 if we're looking at the components and everything that's going into it. If you want that more power and want all these different things on a Switch, 300, 350, even I could see probably 400, but if what they're putting into it and they're trying to make money off of it, they're probably going to want to up that to 5. But the other thing about it as well, that's kind of like I'm kind of looking at it is like, even if it's like 400 or 500, when you're looking at the competition, you're getting much better performance for the same or less or less, or for the same price, or probably a little bit more. But people seem really okay with paying 400 or more for a Switch 2 for PS4 level performance or pro performance. It seems kind of funny for me personally. Nintendo is, I've always had a Nintendo in my household growing up. Yep. So for the Switch 2, I don't think that'll be any different. You feel me? I would just want to see, get confirmation. What's the specs? What can we expect? And honestly, I do think that, once they put that out there, we definitely gonna see a lot of them Switch games get remade, remastered, released on that. That thing is gonna be a Switch one machine.
Bro, there's people always say I'm crazy for this. They were running Breath of the Wild at 4K 60. You don't think that they're going to do a Breath of the Wild Deluxe Edition? Because you remember, they released DLC for that. Yep. They're totally going to do that. And people are like, oh, there's going to be an upgrade path. I'm sure of it. I'm like, are you sure of that?
You guys ready to think?
Listen.
You play your crusty version or you play the new version?
Nintendo, they think PlayStation bad? Nah, bruh. Nintendo, no. You ain't getting no upgrade path, brother. You are going to pay that $60 or $70.
Yeah.
And that's it. You going to accept it. What did you talk about?
I personally think it'll be probably 500. I agree. Now, me personally, I don't need the Switch because I can play all the games in
Steel.
No, no. I'm just saying I can play them in the best fidelity and frame rate possible. So why would I need a Switch? I mean, switching for even a Switch 2 wouldn't improve.
You can steal the games and play them. Be honest.
Yeah, but you're gonna need a new emulator. That'll take some time.
Oh yeah, but come on, that'll be out in the first couple of days it comes out. They'll probably have one out before it even releases, right? So I mean, I'm not worried about that because, hey man, people got me covered. But it's like I wouldn't pay their practices. I do not agree with, so I have no moral qualm about it because fuck Nintendo.
What practices? I'm confused.
Their pricing, nothing ever goes on sale. I mean, they will hold your feet to the fire and they'll be like, "You'll pay it," and we'll know you'll pay it, and you'll pay it, and we won't drop the price because you'll still pay it. And it sells out in the billions.
$39.99 3 years later on Black Friday. Come on.
Yeah, but I ain't dancing to their tune. They could dance to mine. So, hey man, that's always been my stance on Nintendo and going forwards. But I do think you'll be paying $500 for the Switch too.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't think that's outrageous in these days and prices. I don't know. Like I say, it's.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mooch, in the panel.
No, please.
Just hypothetically, if the Switch is $500 for PS4 or PS4 Pro level performance, for you personally, is that acceptable?
So yeah, I mean, for me personally, yes, because I'm going to make a fuck ton of money talking about it. Like, you know.
Okay, no, but to answer your question, because Persona, I know that this question has it's a double-sided blade. I know what you mean. I will say this. For the fact that it is Nintendo, and I'm buying, let's be honest, okay? I don't care what third-party games. I don't care what third-party games are on Switch 2. I'm playing them on the PS5 Pro, okay? So let's just put that out there. So regardless of that, the games that Nintendo makes right now, okay, whether it be I'm just saying this, Tears of the Kingdom, Part Duh, whatever they're gonna do, if it's an upgrade to a PS4 Pro type of level in that world that they create, I don't have a problem with $500. I also, and I said this last week on the show, I have no problem with the $700 price tag. I don't. I'm one of those people. I don't have a problem with that. Of course,
Hey, Mooch, you know me too well, man. You ain't let me line it up.
No,
man. You ain't let me line it up.
No, because you're not wrong. No, you're not wrong. Because you're speaking to the audience, and I get that. I think you're right. But me myself, I'm okay with that. But me and you, I will always pay for that better technology. Now, hold on. I also want to say to what Sean was saying. When he was talking about people will just play their games. Listen, it's Halloween time. Okay, listen, I know I'm a little early, but you guys know how much I love the holiday. Not as much as TC. TC has it as his first holiday. Me being 100% Italian, it's my second favorite because if I put Halloween before Christmas, all hell breaks loose in the house. Listen, okay? But I will say this much. We already started our 80th playthrough of Luigi's Mansion 3. We do it every year, man, as a family. Like, there's just games that we play through. The Mario Brothers games, that's just a routine Saturday night. We will just have. I've got all sorts. I went and bought a bunch of the different. Some of them. Some people get stuck with the Joy-Cons. Shout out to Bari, who was like, I hate those Joy-Cons. But like, some get stuck with the Joy-Cons, but I got a couple of the Pro controllers, and we play Mario Kart, we play the Mario Brothers games. Like, that's a consistent thing in the house. So since the time I was born, okay, there's always been a Nintendo in the house. That's not going to end. Like you just said, Persona, that's not about to end. Okay.
Yeah.
So whether it's $400, $450, $499, or $5.10 and I win both Showcase Showdowns, I'm going to have that Switch 2 in the house when they release it. So, I don't have a problem with that. But, like you were saying, Persona, and I think a lot of people need to answer for that. If you're okay with that, then you got to kind of be okay with what like Sony's doing. I would think, right? Is that a 1-for-1 or is that too much to presume? Is that too much?
No, I mean, and listen, I've got 3 Switches in my home. You feel me? So like, I'm definitely, I've got the OG from like 2017. I got, the OLED.
Yeah, the OLED.
And I've also got the OLED special edition.
Beautiful.
Tears of the Kingdom Switch. You feel me? So your boys got, I'm definitely, I got it. But I just feel like, when it comes to the complaints we've been seeing in the last week or two, when it comes to PlayStation 5's pricing. Right. And listen, rightfully so. I'm not here to say that how you feel about that is wrong. But the complaints we see and the price to performance or the price to like, what you can get versus what we already have, people don't deem that as good enough. But then you have people that, if the Switch 2 is a PS4 Pro equivalent, and $500 is acceptable there. It's like, well, wait a second.
Yeah,
when you look at the competition, it's like, is it?
But to be fair, I do think it's a little different. I don't mean to cut you off, but I do think it's a little different because I could buy a $400 PS5 and still play the exact same games you are. Whereas this is a new system. If you want to play the new games that Nintendo, because I mean, let's be real, that's what sells Nintendo hardware. Is their software, the new Mario game, the new Zelda game, the new Mario Kart game. And if the only place to play it is on this PS4 Pro level system, it's either that or, hop on your pirate ship and start sailing the seas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was just gonna. Well, so yeah,
but using that logic, is anybody's outrage really justifiable for the PS5 Pro if most of the games you'll still be able to play on your original PS5?
No, because you don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy the Pro.
Right.
That's the difference. So Sean, let me ask you, because people are asking me about back and pat right now in the chat. Shout out to Ryan Landis in the chat. So Sean, if a new game comes out, let's say a new Mario Brothers game comes out, that will not be backwards compatible with Switch 1, correct?
No, I think I think the Metroid Prime 4, some people are theorizing there's going to be like a Switch and a Switch 2 version.
Okay.
But no, like the new games, there'll still be stuff. I mean, I kind of look at it like the 3DS situation where you got stuff like after the Switch came out, what was it? Samus Returns, which was a game that came out for the 3DS, and most people were like, well, why the fuck isn't this on the Switch instead? And I still say that because when you upscale it to like 1080p, it looks fucking gorgeous. Ahoy, matey. But yeah, no, I think, it'll be, I'm not expecting there to be many cross-generational games with this.
Okay.
I mean, but I'm pretty sure we're expecting for the Switch 2 to be backwards compatible with Switch 1 titles, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That seems to be the mantra right now. Although it is tricky to do because when you look at the SoC of the Switch 1, it's I don't know. It seems like it's going to be somewhat tricky to do when you're talking about the cartridge side of things, because that's a whole nother sort of situation. Is it the exact same cartridges? If so, those are still expensive to make if you're doing the same sort of physical media, and you're obviously going to do physical media with it because it's still popular in Japan, which Nintendo loves to cater to Japan more than any other region. So there's still lots of variables and lots of questions that, hopefully we find it out sooner rather than later.
So a lot of people are asking, maybe, and I said yes, I believe so. Sean, I believe you just answered it as well. To your recollection, no one here actually, we don't have the devices at home in our hands. We don't have the actual spec sheets in our hands. But Sean, you do believe all of our physical media Nintendo Switch games would be able to pop in play on our Switch too. We believe we're walking into that.
That's the theory.
Okay.
I'm still not 100%
No,
convinced.
I'm not holding you to that. I'm just asking.
What if the Switch 2 and Nintendo, I know they probably do some stupid shit like this. You have to buy a separate peripheral in order to play the backwards compatible games, like something you got to plug into the Switch 2 in order to play Switch 1 titles.
Oh
I have a question for Sean.
What's that?
With the Switch 2, do you still need a networking degree to link up the voice chat system?
That's a whole nother thing. Nintendo Switch we were playing we do a podcast on Wednesday, every other Wednesday night where we have a show. It's me and Nate the Hate versus Celia from Yacht Club Games and Josie Woe. And we were playing Mario Party on Nintendo Switch Online, the N64 version, and it was so shit. It was terrible. And then it disconnected when we were like 40 minutes into the game, and we're like, all right, we're fucking done here. Sorry, we're wrapping this up. Like, there are lots of things that need to be addressed with that. And, hopefully we learn about that. I haven't heard really anything about the online stuff because, Nintendo's, it is funny though, because we say, oh yeah, Nintendo's behind the times, but goddamn, if the Wii wasn't somewhat in the times. You had the great virtual console. Even the fucking DS had native voice chat on some games where you were talking to the microphone in it. And now it's like, oh, you need this app for your phone to do voice chat. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what are you doing?
I tried when I did have a Switch. Shout out to the Switch, because I sold it for a good price as well. Because it was when it was still hackable. It was one of the the very first models. So I doubled the price and just sold it to someone. And it was like, okay, cool. But it was like, I tried to use the party chat, and I got as far as doing the whole phone thing, and I'm like, I am not doing this. We are in the 2000s now, like late 2000s. I've been having party chat for years. There is no way Nintendo should get away with this.
Well, the funny thing is, some games had native voice chat. Fortnite, you just popped in a headset into, like, if you were playing in handheld mode, you'd pop in your headset, boom, you were done. Friday the 13th, same thing.
You played the hell out of that game on Switch, Sean.
I played the hell out of it on Switch and PS4. I love that game. I will die on that hill. Dead by Daylight can suck my dick. It is not as good as Friday the 13th. If it wasn't for the licensing issues, Friday the 13th would be the best game of that style. Not Dead by Daylight. I don't care. Daylight. Come at me.
I'm with you, man. I played Dead by Daylight for a while, and I was like, I've had enough of these generators. Let me put it this way to you real quick. I want to ask you one thing, Sean. This is something I think a lot of Nintendo fans, and Sean, I know the minute I say this because I've asked this to you once before, a long time ago, and it wasn't in regards to Switch 2. It was a long time ago. I know you're going to say you don't give a shit because I asked you this about PlayStation, but I'm going to ask you, then I'm going to ask the panel. Will they possibly bring something in the form of Nintendo achievements or trophies or tokens or whatever, what do they call them? Like the Mario tokens that go off the coins. Like, will they give us something that shows progress and domination in the Nintendo ecosystem? It is something, because I will say this much. I really, really liked achievements early on. And then achievements, the one thing that achievements kind of lost me on Xbox was, if you look at a lot of people's achievements, they're like 364,472 and 33 cents. You're like, all right, once you hit like the milestones that matter are like the 100, the 200, 250, 300, but all those ones in between didn't really matter. What's nice, I like about the PlayStation a little bit better with the trophies is each game, getting that platinum for each game feels like you climbed Mount Everest. Each game, when you get that platinum, feels like you've reached the top, and then you start over with a new game, right? So I like that. Will Nintendo offer that, Sean, as we move into Switch 2? They can do things now as they're developing games and putting things forth. Now's the time.
It would be nice, but don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I figured.
Fucking hell. Did you play the Nintendo World Championships game that came out on the Switch?
No.
There's not even there's not a traditional leaderboard. The only way to see where you are on the leaderboards after you do like the weekly challenge is it gives you a score and it shows you so like say you're number 3,000.
Yeah.
It'll show you that you're number 3,000. It'll show like 10 people in front of you and 10 people in back. That's it. You can't even see who's number one. You can't scroll through the leaderboards. You can't see where your friends are on the leaderboards. And this company's going to give you some sort of achievement thing. I'm not holding your breath, man.
No, probably
that's
not.
the motto for Nintendo. Don't hold your breath, right there.
Expect nothing and be pleasantly surprised if you get a little something.
To take what you get. Yeah. So Persona, what do you think, Persona? Does that something? Because listen, I don't want to sit here and tell people in the audience that you're a trophy hunter. You've never really proclaimed yourself as that. But but let's be honest. You do have a lot of trophies. The games that you love, you complete. So is that something that kind of makes you pick up the Switch a little bit more if all of a sudden you can start to have that ranking system? Because let's be honest, it's the same reason that I'm competitive in Call of Duty, the same reason you want to be on the top of that chart, the same reason you want to have 500 level on PlayStation. I'm only in the low 300s. I'm trying to catch up. The only way I can catch up is Persona takes like 2 years off. And not even make it 8 years off. So Persona, like for real, like is that something that does change your interest?
I mean, I am a bit of a trophy hunter. I'm not as hardcore as I used to be back in the day. I've got like maybe 240 or close to 240 platinums, almost 12,000 trophies. There's people way, way ahead of me. But, it's funny that you asked me this, right, Mooch? Because, in the times that we live in now, there's this big thing of, playing with your friends, the social aspect, all these other things that people tend to tout when it comes to how important it is to gaming now. But then when it comes to Nintendo, we tend to overlook or look past those things. I believe with Nintendo, an achievement system definitely should be implemented within their next console because it's the standard now when it comes to everything that people play.
Yeah.
Every game that comes out, Steam has it. PlayStation has it, Xbox has it.
Yeah.
Nintendo's the only one that doesn't have it, and I do think that would be something cool to add to it. Not saying because clearly them not having it doesn't stop people from buying their game, so that's not the problem.
No.
But for me personally, I would love to be able, like, if I beat the next Mario or beat the next Zelda or whatever, I can show that off with a cool achievement or something like that to say, hey, look, I completed this game. This is what it looks like,
100%.
I just feel like Nintendo should start adding those type of social features into their ecosystem.
But see, for me, it's one step even further. Take a game like Tears of the Kingdom, right? There's so much to do in that game. And I know a lot of people that just ran through, they're like, I beat it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't want to say how many hours. I don't know. Maybe they took them 40 hours, 30 hours, 50 hours. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, the number that they gave me definitely doesn't mean you beat it, but you didn't 100% it, And it's like the devs put a lot of work into these games. And don't get me wrong, there are some trophies that developers make you go look for or accomplish, and they are a little off the beaten path, right? So there's sometimes I think they get a little off kilter with that. But there's a lot of the Nintendo games, like myself, I have no idea. I'm not 100% sure, but like I said, Luigi's Mansion 3, we're going to play through it again. I've literally played through that so many times, I could walk you through it verbally. And the point of the matter is that, but did I 100% it? I think I did. I got all the gems. I've done every single board I can imagine. I've searched every single room 7,000, even it's like 7,000 times. It's just, I feel like that just adds the completion. It makes you play the games to its entirety. And I think for the developer's sake, that's kind of
probably
a
adds
cool
more
thing.
replayability, having trophies or achievements or something like that there. And they can call it, something Nintendo like.
Oh, yeah,
like, I don't know,
like coins
Nintendo stars or whatever. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
I just feel like having like some type of a achievement system in Nintendo, in their ecosystem for the new games. I just feel like that would be a cool thing to have.
Mm-hmm. Go
Even
ahead, Singer.
Steam has achievements. I like collecting my ribbons.
Singer.
When you 100% a game, you get this little ribbon, and you're like, look at that. Look at my ribbons, right? Look how many ribbons I got. Even I collect achievements when I'm playing on. Incidentally, I collect them. It's not like I hunt them, but you're like, oh, look, you 100% of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations. And they even have a leaderboard to see who's got the most.
That's right.
Or how... You can even see the percentages of who achieved what, how many of the players. But Nintendo, hey man.
Well, that's
shout out to you. You're the console guys.
Yeah.
Gabe Newell managed to figure that shit out. So, yeah.
Well, actually, it's so shout out to TC. TC, you said TC. You got. I don't know. I won't reveal anything, but he's got a great trip lined up. I'm very jealous of where he gets to go. TC, I want to say thanks for being here. TC, I was gonna ask you what you thought about trophies, but he does have quite the trip coming up, so I'll leave it there. But TC, great to have you on the show, buddy. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, TC. So here we go. One last topic here, and then I'm going to let everybody enjoy some video games. Some of these guys haven't eaten dinner yet, okay? They're still here for all of us. Detective Seeds, if I may go to you real quick here. I know you have your ear to the ground. You've got your people out there. By the way, have your people send me video games, please. Thank you. Marathon releasing for $40 is the rumor.
Yeah.
Is it, first of all, two questions. Does that rumor hold any weight? And B, are we looking at a situation where can it survive not being free to play?
I don't know too much about the Marathon. What they're going to do with it. I've been told that it is going to be $40. I've been told it is going to release, and they're going to put it out there. Whether or not it survives will be up to the consumer base. I don't know enough about it in terms of like the hero shooter, how it compared to Concord, and kind of what the feedback is. I know some guys that have gone and played it, and they had pretty positive feedback. But I think that again, like, Sony's using some of these games, and people are like, well, why do they need more data? Well, if you look at how these games perform, they take things from each one of them, and they either apply it or they do apply it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that Marathon is something that Bungie already had going, and they're going to see it through. And then I think once Marathon, this is just my prediction, once Marathon is done and it's released and it's out there, I think at some point there'll be a full takeover that Sony comes in and takes over Bungie. And whether they dissolve Bungie in terms of the whole studio and take the developers that they want and put them where they want them, or they keep they keep the Bungie intact and lower the threshold of employees. I think they'll do the same thing with the studio at Concord. I don't think they'll close the studio down, but I do think they're going to reduce staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that some of these games they may combine, and work on some projects or do something like that, because there is talent there. When you look at Bungie, there is talent there to make good shooters and make good, live service components, and they're not going to let that just walk out the door. But I could see them, sending Marathon out there, and I don't think it's going to do well, and then they take it over.
So, okay, I do think it also gets released. Persona, I'll ask you the same question. Is the $40 price tag a problem? Does it need to be free to play? But I'm going to add you that third caveat. I got to throw one more curveball at you. I think Sony already has an influence right now over Bungie. I don't think that Bungie being independently on their own right now is even. I don't think they're standing on PlayStation stilts right now. I think PlayStation's running that show right now behind the scenes.
Not completely yet.
Not completely, but I think that there's a say there. Persona, the third question for you is: do we see this thing on all platforms the way it was originally intended, or does this also just do PS5 PC release?
Yeah, so great questions, and with this whole Marathon and Bungie thing, I'm a big Bungie fan too. First question: does it need to be free to play? No. Absolutely not. You feel me? This whole thing of games needing to be free to play to be successful is complete bullshit. You feel me? Because there's tons of games that have released free that have failed. Dodgeball City or Knockout City. Yep. Anybody?
Yep.
What's the other? There was another one that I just had on the top of my brain, but I forgot. But a game being free to play does not ensure its success. You feel me? So this whole mantra of free to play, it needs to be free to play. It's a games as a service. Let's cut all that bullshit out. Cut it out. Second of all, the $40 price tag, I personally don't see that as an issue, especially if there's enough content there. My issue with not just Bungie, but I think PlayStation's entire live service initiative really is how they treated Concord, right? The fact that Concord was out for 2 weeks, not given enough time. It didn't receive a big reception, right? And PlayStation opted to shut it down. And now we're seeing the fallouts of Firewalk and, the game director stepping down. Heads might roll. The studio might get shut down. There's a lot of uncertainty. My faith in PlayStation's ability to produce a successful live service game has diminished. My faith in their next couple of live service games, despite it even coming from Bungie, is diminished as well. And the fact that it is coming from Bungie is also worrying because of a lot of what we heard when it comes to the internal testing saying they weren't feeling the game. Not only that, but a lot of the problems that we've been seeing when it comes to leadership and things like that. But obviously some of that stuff is starting to change. But, there's still issues at Bungie as well internally that I feel will also leak into the game and will be evident when this game releases. I hope I'm wrong, but my faith in Marathon and my faith in PlayStation's live service push is not there. In terms of it coming to Xbox, I would imagine that PlayStation would still probably uphold that deal because, it's business, right? So they probably will uphold that. But after that, it's done. It's done, so.
Yeah. And I think that, to caveat on that, I think that PlayStation has the ability to do live service games because they do have some live service games that do and have done well. I think that they are going to, and Jim Ryan said, I'm not going to quote him directly, but we're going to have some that do well, we're going to have some that fail. And Concord, I just think, was not in the position to succeed when it released. When it comes to Bungie as a whole, we know that Sony is in there, pretty deep. Just look at Chris Barrett, the situation that happened with him. That investigation was initiated by Sony, not by Bungie. And so there were enough complaints about him for harassment that Sony is the one that initiated that investigation within Bungie and basically said, you need to change these things. So we know, just based off of that investigation alone, how deep and how involved Sony now is within Bungie to where they weren't a few years ago. I don't think they have full control over everything yet, but I do think that if Marathon comes out and it does not perform well, I think that this is probably PlayStation saying, this is it. If this does not do well, they probably have in their back pocket that they're going to take it over. And then what they do with it will be up to them.
I honestly, I think the takeover is happening regardless.
Yeah, me too.
I don't care how good Marathon is or how bad.
Yep.
The takeover is happening because Bungie has not met the financial thresholds that was set out within the contracts, which is what PlayStation was, which PlayStation signed, Bungie signed. And, with Destiny missing its financial targets with Lightfall by like 40-50%, and then the financial results being even lower, especially with the final shape not really reaching the internal expectations that they hoped. I think regardless of what happens, that PlayStation's taking the reins and Bungie will be folded into PlayStation. And not saying that Bungie will go away.
No,
I don't think they will, but the decision making will ultimately be PlayStation, and whatever projects they do next after this will have to be approved by PlayStation as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think that if Marathon comes out and does very well and starts hitting a lot of targets and it performs very, very well, I think that PlayStation, it prolongs their plan to maybe take it over. Whereas if it comes out, they push it out and it doesn't do as hot, then there's more of that sign of, we've given you every opportunity, every investment that we possibly can, and now, we're going to go ahead and take this over. And I do think, I hate to say it because I love the studio of Bungie. I mean, it's been around for a very long time.
Absolutely.
And created games that probably a lot of us on here grew up really playing in our teenage years and so on. I don't think that Sony will keep them if they take it over. I think that they may keep their assets in some form of fashion, but it would not surprise me if they came in and dissolved the studio of Bungie and just take the developers that they want and the assets that they want and plug it in, disperse it into some of these other studios, because we know that there are a couple of pop-up studios that are starting to take off, and I could see them doing that, especially if they try to get back into the shooter realm, which there's some noise kind of in the background that they do want to find ways to get back into some of the shooters that they used to make. But with some of the situation with Call of Duty and stuff, they haven't yet. But I could see them taking some of those assets from Bungie and the developers and utilizing that in new studios to go after new IPs. But
I mean, the Bungie name is very big.
That's the thing
within the industry.
Yeah.
I don't see PlayStation dissolving Bungie as a studio or game or anything like that, because the name Bungie, it still holds a lot of weight and it has a lot of pull within the industry. Especially when you think back to some of the best first-person shooter developers. Bungie is atop that Mount Rushmore for sure.
I think that, but I also think that the past several years of Bungie, I would venture to say maybe 5-6 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be off by a couple years. I don't think it's the Bungie that we've always known. And I think at some point, if that name may be tarnished, and if that name is tarnished and they don't have, here's the thing, we don't know what else they have that they're working on. And that could be the deciding factor.
We do know, because this is the thing with PlayStation as well, because Bungie was working on a fantasy multiplayer game or some type of fantasy game as well. And the team that was working on that, they took I think about 150 of those developers, and they're actually starting their own internal team.
Yeah. But that's not
under PlayStation.
Bungie isn't doing that under
Bungie. No. I'm saying under PlayStation. But what I'm saying is, so Bungie had other projects in flight. But
exactly.
Financial woes and true.
So that's what I'm saying. We know that they had that, but that's what I was alluding to is they did have that project, but what happened to it? It went under another studio, another pop-up studio that they created. So that's why that's why I tend to lean toward, if they were to do this, it would not shock me. I hope they don't, man. Like, at the end of the day, I don't want to see people lose their jobs. I don't want to see these things. Somebody hears this, they may think, well, he just wants them shut down. I absolutely do not. I just think that
the thing is, we're talking about Bungie. Like, I understand they've had internal problems, they've had problems with employees, but hear me out. As far as Bungie, and you can say 1, 2, 3, the expansions weren't great. You can say whatever you want. And there's a lot of Destiny fans that would say that. But the reason I don't agree, Seeds, with the idea of dissolving them, firewalk, dissolve, and keep the great talent. Absolutely. That's what they'll probably do, what you're saying. But Bungie, think about Bungie comes out with the next game, not just Marathon. They have other things they're working. They work on something else, and they go, from the acclaimed Halo developer, they brought you Destiny 2 comes this game. My point being is that is something that you don't just dissolve unless they have critical failure. Now, they've had problem in management and financial people that are running their place. That's been a catastrophe. But as far as their product, and you can ask Destiny fans, the Final Shape, they said Final Shape was one of the best expansions of all time.
Yeah, but it didn't sell. It didn't sell like that.
Persona,
That's the problem.
It didn't sell because Destiny was long. Destiny was long in the tooth. It had run its course.
Yeah, but my pushback on that, and the reason why it wouldn't surprise me if they did, you just said it. You could have this acclaimed shooter coming from Bungie. Okay, well, why did they take this sci-fi shooter that they've been working on for several years and put it under a new studio, not keep it under Bungie?
Because the leadership. That's because the leadership at Bungie. I said Bungie. The leadership at Bungie has shown to not be competent enough to really be able to lead.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's why PlayStation stepped in. They took it over. They took some of the, because we're forgetting people also got laid off at Bungie. PlayStation took some people, 150, spun off to us, and are building a brand new studio from that, and are taking the fantasy project, and that's what they'll be working on.
COVID side, they're back down to pre-COVID size, about 900 employees.
Yeah, so, but you still got the 900 or something that is. You got the crew that's still supporting Destiny 2, and then you've got the crew that's building Marathon. So you still have two teams dedicated to 2 projects in flight.
Right.
I just don't see them dissolving that.
Yeah.
That size of at 900 people. I do not see PlayStation dissolving.
It's a large studio.
I don't see
big of a studio like that.
I don't see them keeping 900 people there. I think that if Marathon does not do well, I think that you are going to see a large chunk of Bungie be taken away. I just do. I think that Sony will
on a new game or 2 new games before the Bungie name is tarnished the way we're talking, to dissolve it, and the talent and the SIE and other.
Well, if Marathon doesn't take off, that's just going to speed up PlayStation taking over Bungie. Now, our heads going to roll off of that. Absolutely. Are people probably going to get laid off? I hate to say this, but maybe so. But 900 people. I don't see them laying off half that. Just to be, I can see them laying off maybe a couple people or whatever, but I don't see them. I don't know, just something. How I'm looking at it, I don't see them dissolving Bungie as a company like that.
We would have to see what they get assigned after this, because Destiny 2, I think it's fair to say, is in its kind of cruise mode. They're going to come out with some of these chapter type deals, and then there's no more. Big expansions. We don't know if it sounds like a Destiny 3 has been nixed according to reports, but we don't know that 100%. So I don't think it's going to be overnight, but I do think that if Marathon does not do well, and over time Sony determines that Bungie's name does not hold the weight that it once did, then yes, over time I could see them dissolving that studio.
Oh man,
I'll push back because two major things. One, Bungie already released a roadmap well into 2026 of expansions for Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is continuing, right? They got 2 expansions per year. They changed they did a whole.
They're not expansions though. They're the chapter. They're the chapter.
Well, they're the equivalent of expansions. Like, they come with everything you would expect from an expansion. They come with the new guns, new weapons, new planets.
No, these aren't full. These aren't like final shape size. I know what you're talking about. These aren't final shape size expansion. I'll push back on that. These are like the smaller chapter, like mid mid-expansion size stories that they're putting out. That's what they are. They're not like Final Shape or the Rise of Iron or whatever the other one was. It's not. They're not those large ones.
I mean, they have the content to back it up because it clearly says in their roadmap what do you expect from the expansions, right? Because they have the smaller chapters, like seasons, in between the two expansions. That's why I might come back to Destiny 2, because the way they've changed the way they're rolling out content now is actually appealing to me, because it looks like you're going to get more consistent content, and I have a feeling they'll keep on this train, because if people gravitate to that, because they're bringing back all these, like, they'll have new guns, new planets, they're completely redoing the UI, for example. Like, there's some new UI changes, I can't wait for that, because everything's in one place. So the future's looking bright, technically, for Destiny 2. They might even bring me back with it, depending on how they roll it out. But I don't think Bungie would disappear the same way BioWare didn't disappear. BioWare isn't the BioWare we knew from back in the day. Like the original BioWare.
Yeah, BioWare's had a couple and they've fumbled the ball.
It's a completely new BioWare now, essentially.
Yeah.
And we have to see, like, Veilguard is okay, it's looking good. We have to see what the new BioWare is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Bungie as a name, like BioWare, I just don't think those names would go away. The same way, like, a Zipper Interactive went away.
Mm.
You know what? I look, guys. I want to agree. Like, I don't want any. I hope no one takes this that way that I want them to close, because I just don't. But I don't think a lot of people thought that a name brand like a Blockbuster would close, or some of these other large name brand stores would close. And guess what? Eventually, they did, because their name and the power that they once held was no longer. And so I do hope that Bungie is able to obviously get new leadership, right? I think we can probably all agree on this call. They need new leadership. And maybe that's what sparks it to where we start to see some projects under Bungie flourish, and they get back to doing what they have done best
I think
over many years.
I think that,
but if they don't,
Deathsinger,
that would be a problem.
Deathsinger made a good point with BioWare. I mean, BioWare has fumbled the ball a couple times. They're still there. That's not the same BioWare as back in the day. And Seeds, I want to say this again. I don't think anyone on the panel is actually disagreeing. I think you've said it a couple times yourself. It's just we're saying not now.
No.
Right,
And Persona, I hope that I didn't convey that it would be now.
No,
it'd be many years.
The first time, it would be many. You said that the second time, which I think that's what I'm saying. It would have to be like Persona said. If something was to happen with Marathon, where it was a complete and utter failure, that just speeds up this process more in regards to what you're discussing.
Absolutely, and I should have said that the first time. That's on me, but I definitely want to convey that I'm talking many years down the road.
I'll say this much. I think, as we always say, I think Bungie's earned a chance to put something else out. You know, they've done Destiny forever. I left Destiny a while ago. I really loved Destiny when it first came out. Persona played it. Persona, I know how much you were talking about when we first started hanging out gaming. You were still pretty hot and heavy into it. And then
I was hardcore. I'm a hardcore Destiny fan.
You know,
hardcore.
Yeah. And it was like, you know, so I know that you enjoyed that game, still enjoy it, but I'm saying, like, I think at the end of the day, I'd like to see what Bungie can do next. Sean, I just want to get your opinion on it, Sean, just from a standpoint, from a top level. Sean, you don't have to get into the weeds with Bungie, but like, what happened with Concord, and we saw the success with Helldivers 2. Is Marathon, in your opinion, does it have to kill for Bungie to remain who they are in their existence? I think Sony's involved with them now, no matter what, because of the loss of leadership. I think Sony's already infiltrated Bungie, but that's not what I'm talking about. I think Bungie has a few more games to put out before we start saying Bungie's going to be broken down.
Kill, no. Looked at in a different light, maybe.
Right.
I don't think Marathon needs to be this huge, rousing success.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to do decently, and as long as it does decently, then I think they'll be fine for a while, because they have like the Destiny stuff, and that's very successful for them, although people are like, well, where's Destiny 3? It's like, well, we still Destiny 2, here you go, here's some new stuff.
Right.
But, it's a volatile industry right now, and a lot of people seem to just bat an eye and say, "Oh no, everything's fine." And it's like, really? Is it?
Is it? Yeah.
There's a lot of cracks in the foundation of the industry right now, and that I think if Marathon completely bombs, then it becomes a question of not when, or not if, but when.
But when?
I think Marathon will do it. I mean, really, we don't. The thing at the end of the day is we don't know shit about this game.
No, we really don't.
We still got to see it. We still got to see it in action, and maybe it'll wow people. And if it does, then then all gamers have a very short attention span. As
you don't say.
Riled up as they were about Concord, they were on their knees for Sony with the Astrobot, and I was right there with them. I was like, yes.
Let's go.
Shower me with that Astrobot goodness.
It is so good, guys. Honestly, Sean, good point. You brought it up a few times tonight. You can see the gameplay on there. I'm on the last world. I made a promise to the great Jay Bari that I would have the platinum by Sunday. Shame on me for not having it already. I'll be honest with you, just with work and everything else, but I will have it this weekend. Very, very close. It's an outstanding game. If you guys don't have Astrobot, go grab that game. I mean,
fun on that last level.
Yeah, I did see some people on Twitter being like, they put that little bit out there and they're like, holy shit, thank God I don't have to do that again. So yeah, but I love platformers, so I welcome the challenge. I want to say thank you to everybody, by the way. I want to thank the great chat. Thanks to Mash again for those 20 gifted subs. Thank you so much. Thanks to the super chat guys out there. For some reason, I don't know why, OBS just was not cooperating with me tonight, so I apologize about that. We had an outstanding panel. Please, guys, hit the like button. I didn't say it enough on the way out. Please go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Your name comes up in lights. In case you guys care at all, which I'm sure in the gaming world, not a lot of people care about sports, but the Mets are up 10-6 right now, and it's still the 8th inning. So I want to say this much. Thanks to this amazing panel. I'll go in reverse order here. The great Detective Seeds, everybody. Seeds, I know that you were in between family events, and yet you still managed to be here for a good portion of the evening, and I can't say thank you enough. Seeds, thanks for being here tonight. Let people know where they can find you, and let them know about that Platinum channel.
Yeah, Detective Seeds Platinums. I'm getting close to 500 subs. It's been channel's been live for right about a month now, so getting monetized within about a month would be awesome. So if you have not subscribed with the bell button on, I upload a Platinum every single Sunday. Astrobot is going up this Sunday. Another channel that I've become heavily involved in is a channel called Gaming Sins. It's a very large channel. We have a little over 300,000 subscribers over there. My reviews and my story analysis, if you guys have ever watched those, now go up over there. So you can check out that channel as well. And as always, thanks for having me on. And we'll see. I think next week we'll be probably talking about the state of play.
We absolutely will. Thank you, Seeds. The great Death Singer. Singer, outstanding work as always. I got you out just before breakfast was called for. Singer, thanks for being here tonight, buddy. Let people know they can find you, and looking forward to next week.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. I can't wait to see what this State of Play is about, because State of Plays have been interesting.
They certainly have been.
The past couple of times they've done them, and PlayStation still ain't selling me on that damn console. Give me something I want.
They will get you there, Singer, before the end of this generation. You will have a PlayStation.
I tell you what, they need to make a version of Baldur's Gate 3. I'll be there day one, without a question.
What do you
mean?
mean?
Give me something like that. Come on, PlayStation. I know you could do it. Give me something like that. Come on.
Oh, you mean you want a Baldur's Gate 3 type of game by a first-party studio?
Oh, yeah. Come on. I'm sure
right.
they could. Or even make their own version of a Witcher 3. I know PlayStation easily capable of doing it. They have the talent.
Well, the great
they have the talent.
Seeds, you just heard what we have to do. They just have to spend roughly $200 million. If you could please ask your friends over at Sony to please work on that, Seeds.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to get Singer in a $500 to $700 console range. Singer, we appreciate it, buddy. Go ahead, please finish.
But yeah, you can find me everywhere, the same name, playing games. I also linked the thing to you, Mooch.
Yes, I saw that.
DMs about Destiny 2. I mean, the game's looking up. They might have got me back. I mean, I gave up the habit. I kicked the addiction. I've been sober for a couple of years.
That's good. That's great.
I think they may have me again. Who knows?
Well, if you do start it up again, Singer, let me know. I'll join you. Okay, we will be there.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. The great Singer, everybody. Persona, outstanding show tonight. I don't think the blood pressure went up too high. but we got a lot of topics in Persona. The over-under on topics was 3, and I think we hit 6 or 7. So whoever had that on their bingo card wins big tonight. Unfortunately, it's the Mooch's channel, and we don't have any prizes. But nonetheless, Persona, let people know where they can find you, buddy. And as always, love having you on the show.
Hey man, listen. Mooch, I know you made it your mission to make sure you got through some of them topics tonight, boy. I know you did. But big shout out to you, Mooch, man. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your channel, onto the show, bro. It's always good to be here, chop it up. Shout out to the panel, man. It was good talking with everybody. It was a really good conversation tonight. Shout out to the chat, man. Chat, make sure you guys hit the like button, support my boy Mooch, share the podcast out and whatnot. And man, I definitely appreciate y'all, man. And me, I'm Persona. And it was great being here tonight.
And don't forget, I will plug it for you because Persona won't do it. He says, I'm not here to plug my channel. Well, I'm here to plug his channel. Then the great What's Up PlayStation back 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday, guys. Go over and check it out. You'll see me in the chat. I'll be there. Outstanding show as always. Thank you very much, Persona. And I do want to say shout out to Sean, RGT85. Sean, listen, I reached out to you years ago. You've been on the show a number of times. And I honestly, just from the time I was watching your channel and we've gotten a chance to hang out behind the scenes here, do the show together, there's not many guys as real as you are out there. I won't bring it up, but I'll just tell you this much. Go watch some of Sean's earlier videos. His intro is still absolutely legendary. Sean, outstanding to have you here on the show. I'm not sure if you're going to do another Beetlejuice Halloween special like you did that one time. That was outstanding as well.
That was fun.
That was hysterical, by the way. But nonetheless, Sean, I want to say thanks for being here tonight. I know you usually 2 hours, and I kept you here almost 3. But keep the great content up. Love what you do on Twitter and YouTube. And let people know where they can find you.
You can find me on RGT85. Thank you for having me on, Mooch. If you are a fan of Nintendo 64 wrestling games, I just released a book this week.
Nice.
Going over all of the N64 wrestling games that released in America and Japan, plus modding projects. I have real wrestlers in there talking about it. People like X-Pac, Stevie Richards, and more that were in these games. So if you're a fan of that sort of stuff, you can go to castlemaniagames.com and get an autograph copy or a autograph copy with a t-shirt for $40, $20 just for the book. Or you can pick it up on Amazon. It's on Kindle and paperback. Kindle is $15, paperback is $20. And yeah, man, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And anytime, man, just let me know. Go Giants, even though they suck.
Yeah, they're not good this year again. But go terrible. Giants for sure. Guys, I appreciate you, Sean, being on the show as always. Can't wait till you're on the show again. Guys, listen, it's a great weekend. Games are out there. Go play them. We're going to see a little bit of that state of play next week. Too many people are saying it's going to happen for it not to happen at this point. We'll be back next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. On the way out, hit that like button, that subscribe button. Thanks, everybody, again. Outstanding show. Enjoy your night. Peace. Good night.